Hello and welcome to the Bovasin Outdoor Chronicles. My name's Jared.
And my name's Garrett.
We're two brothers who love the outdoors, and we spend most of our money and all of our free time on our adventures. From working all week to playing all weekend, we find ourselves surviving the week to live on the weekends. Well, we have one good friend in the studio today and another one on the line. We'll go through them first. Andre's here in the studio. How you doing, Andre?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you guys?
Good. And we got Scott, a.k.a. the Red Fox, a.k.a. Jesus, a.k.a.
The water plant man.
the water plant man, the poop sniffer, on the line. How you doing, Scott?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good. How's Virginia treating you?
I wish I were back in Montana,
Yeah.
but you got to make money. So you got to earn a living.
You got to earn a living, and there's no way to do that in Montana, so.
Ain't that the truth anymore?
All right. So everybody knows Scott, a.k.a. the Red Fox. He's been on a few times. But, Andre, let's hear a little bit about your backstory. How do you know Garrett and I? How'd you meet us?
Oh, man.
How'd you get entangled in this misadventure we went on?
Well, it all started a long time ago, back in high school. Oh, boy.
Was it high school, or did I first meet you in... Did you go to Lewis?
No.
It was high school.
It was definitely high
All
school.
right.
Yeah. No, we met in high school, and then 2 years later, your little brother showed up. You know, we had to do a lot of shit talking
Mm-hmm.
because he thought he was all that in a bag of chips, and we had to remind him
Okay.
he's, you know,
Okay.
That's how I remember
he's a
it,
little
too.
short
Yeah,
stack.
I feel like I'm outnumbered here. Scott, you might have to chime in.
No, but it goes way back to high school, you know, obviously, and we played music together. We're all drummers here, except
Mhm.
Scott. You're not that cool yet, Scott.
Not drummer cool yet.
No, we'll get
Nope.
him there. But yeah, honestly, just been a really great friendship. Whether we've talked over the years or not, and I feel like every time we get back together, it's like we just saw each other the other day. So.
I think
And
so,
I
too.
find that, like, in friendships, as you get older, you're not necessarily having to talk every day, but, like,
No.
you don't see them, and then you see them, and it's just, like, right back where you were.
Yep.
I think that just kind of comes with age. But so Jared wanted to go on this trip for his bachelor party. How did he present it to you, Andre?
How did he present the bachelor party to me?
Yeah.
Oh, you know, he goes, God, how much time did you give me? I don't even know.
Not a lot.
No, it wasn't a lot. I think you gave me,
As Jared's
you
fashion.
told me about it a month in advance, and we're
Well,
like,
I
yeah,
told-
we're probably gonna do this.
I told you like a year in advance.
no,
Yeah,
no,
at
not
your
like-
birthday party.
Not like that.
Yeah, I said, hey, for my bachelor party, I'm thinking of floating the river.
You're so
Yeah,
full of
no,
shit.
I that's what I told you. And then
Was I drunk? Because I clearly
no,
don't
and
remember this.
about a month ago, or a month beforehand, I said, hey, we're gonna float the river for 4 days. It like slowly was materializing.
All right. I'll give him
Mhm.
that one. I'll give him that one. But I will say, we didn't know exactly what we were getting into. None of us, even through the bachelor chat and everything.
What adventure is to be had if you know exactly what you're getting into?
That's
There's
not
gotta
what
be
I'm
an
talking
element
about.
of
That is
mystery.
not what I'm talking about. You know it.
What are you talking about?
The prep, like, what do we need? I'll tell you what. Your brother,
Yeah.
you know, he's done a great job informing all of the wedding party. You know what they need to do. But man,
As the best man should.
man, he really kind of dropped the ball on me, man.
Okay.
He-
So
yeah.
Andre's sister went to high school with us, right?
Yeah. Katya.
Yes,
At
Katya.
sometime during because she's back in Germany now,
Yeah.
they switched phones. So Andre's in my phone as Katya. So I
I have her
texted.
old number, but that's from high
I
school,
texted
bro.
a guy named Andre who never texted me back. So
No, texted this Andre guy the
Right.
list of what he needed to bring.
right,
Uh-huh.
I never received that list until 2 days
Yeah.
before the trip.
he
dude.
calls me. He's like, "Hey, what about the trip?" I'm like, "I sent out a list." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're not Katya, are you?"
I'm like, you're such a dick. So yeah, I'm over here like, oh God, okay, I need to get on this like today.
Yeah.
So I did, which was fine, you know, typical Mason stuff. You know, you kind of fly by the seat of your pants, which
Yeah.
I mean, I do that anyway. That's why we're good friends. So
Yeah.
great
It
friends. that
worked
do the
out. You
same
had
stuff.
enough things where you didn't die. So.
You didn't die.
No, I showed you guys.
That's
I
how
can
we
hang.
measure good times. If you died, bad time. If you lived, good time.
Yeah, and then we got type 1 fun, type 2 fun, and type
Yeah,
Yep,
3
we
fun.
learned
exactly.
all about
Yeah, I
that.
learned all about that.
A lot of type 1 FUD had this weekend, or this trip. A
So-
lot of type 1.
Andre got the late notice.
Yes.
Scott, you were kind of in on it, right? Because we've been talking about it for a while. Like, you were probably the most informed.
Oh, I got a canoe in April. Like I had stuff lined up
Yeah.
4 or 5 months ago.
And keep in mind, this canoe came from Virginia.
Yeah.
This was not a canoe lined up here. So there was a lot of planning on your end.
Like a trailer.
Yeah. Like almost like you needed to go buy an enclosed trailer to haul all your stuff.
Yeah, at this point in life, I'm kind of looking at semis now. I think that might be the way to go.
Yeah. So we put this together. A lot of my groomsmen couldn't come. Some are doing their residency, can't get time off. Some got new jobs, couldn't make it. Others live too far away, couldn't afford coming to the wedding and the bachelor trip.
Mm-hmm.
So it was us 4. It was Andre, Scott. I think I have 7 total.
Yeah.
So 4 of them couldn't make it. 3 of them did. Scott, Andre, and Garrett made it. But we go to get packed up. I'm trying to leave Wednesday if we can get off earlier because Thursday's the 4th.
You told me you're like, I can't take Wednesday off. So we were looking at like leaving at like 5 p.m.
Yeah,
and that would have sucked. But you did get a little bit off early.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
Which that
You
helped
got off at 12:30 that day.
extremely.
So
And we packed up and headed out. And I was sick as shit.
oh
Yeah.
man.
Right.
Oh, but how did we head out? It started with, "Hey Andre, can we use your truck because it has air conditioning because mine doesn't?"
No, this is the thing I had. This is not what I said. That can we use your truck? You have air conditioning. Here's what I said.
You're right.
Do you want to take your truck or my truck? I don't care. Mine does not have AC. And you went, we're taking my truck.
Absolutely.
All right.
Are
Which
you
is,
kidding me?
Fine.
We're in the lower 90s.
We would have made it. We would have
He
made it.
pulled
yeah.
the same thing on me with like, I can drive, but just so you know, I don't have a heater or AC.
Right. He's just
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's basically gets out of driving except for 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall when the weather's good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
had the same
Or
truck.
when I go by myself.
Yeah.
I get Holly
But-
to drive hers.
Finally get out of town, right? I
Yeah.
had to do some stuff for the podcast, so I'm like, Scott, go ahead and drive my truck. So Scott's driving my truck. Andre's driving his truck. Jared made it about 10 miles. Is that?
No, it was a little more than that. He made.
I
I'd
remember
say,
Roundup.
Yeah, we got to
Oh, okay.
Roundup,
Yeah.
but after Roundup,
Out.
dude, I've never seen somebody hit the sheets so hard.
Well, I was sick. Like, I almost didn't go to work.
Yeah, he
But-
did not look good.
They penalize you if you miss the day before a holiday.
Typical
Oh,
corporations.
Right? Yeah. So I'm like, I got to go. I went to work sick as hell. I was popping all sorts of pills and,
I told you to get Dayquil.
yeah, Dayquil pills. But, not
He's like,
pills.
"Oh, that's a good idea."
Cough drops, those Vicks, like super vapor cool menthol or cough drop things. I was popping those right
They're
and left.
still in my truck.
Well, I left you one bag because I thought you
Uh-huh.
were getting sick. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that because I
Yeah.
did get sick.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jared.
So did Scott, didn't you?
Yeah, but I didn't get it until like the day after the trip. I'm already
Yeah.
back home trying to go to work.
I
So-
got it the last day of the trip.
Yeah.
Started freaking coughing up mucus and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like,
What
Jared,
a guy. Invites his groomsmen out, is sick, gets
We
them all
have
sick.
this whole plan.
I had to ask.
This
I was like,
whole
did you make out with
weekend-
me while I was asleep or what, dude?
This whole weekend planned, and it was like, I can't miss it. I'm just gonna have to go sick. And that first night, I slept in the truck. I tried to stay away from you guys, and I'm like, I hope I make it happen. But that first day, even on the river, I felt like shit. It
Yeah.
was not
Well,
good.
it was the struggle bus once we got there, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
God.
So we get to the campsite where I floated this stretch 5 years ago or so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
and we're basing all of our stuff off of what you did 5 years ago,
right.
right?
So I'm like,
Kinda-
yeah, we can put in here. We pull up there, look down the boat ramp, and the river's changed sides to the other side.
So people are carrying canoes across a willow-covered island or bank now down into the river, and you
Yep.
can't back a trailer in there. The boat dock's totally useless.
So there was a oh shit moment there. Like,
Yeah.
did we just waste our time? But then we saw on the board they had there in like dry erase marker they wrote, larger boats can launch here.
Up and
Up
access.
above.
Yep. So we shot up there, and we get there, and it closed. It was closed.
Yeah.
It was probably 7 o'clock at night-ish.
No, it was
7:30.
it was after 7 because they closed at 7.
Oh, you're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
We
yeah.
got there at
The
8.
sun
we
was
were
still
one.
up.
We were 1 hour late.
If we would have known, we could have made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, that sucks. We go back to that because you can't camp at the higher one.
Mm-mm.
It's just an access. So we go back to the other one, pay to camp, which sucked.
I'd talk
and
about yuppie central.
Oh my gosh.
Because when I'm out in the woods, it's like I like to go out and not see anyone, right?
Yep, exactly.
So this whole trip, it's like, well, 4-day float. You're in the middle of nowhere. There's not a lot of road access. You'll be out in it.
There was enough Chacos and Subarus there that it was making me physically
Phil
ill.
Bozeman.
Yeah. Like, Jesus. And we're like not that close
No.
to that
Right.
yuppie part of the state. And it was like every Chaco wearing hippie coming out with their, what's another brand they love?
Patagonia.
Patagonia.
Jackets and their canoes jumping in, and
Good old Patagucci.
yeah, it was.
So it was like initial, we get there, the boat ramp's not right. There's a ton of people there. It was kind of like disheartening in the
And
morning.
it was like starting to go wrong.
Yeah. And also you were very sick too.
And crabby.
You were
Yeah.
a grumpy old son bitch.
Yeah. Well, fuck.
God. And you even slept in the pickup. I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, you sleep in there, sickie.
Yep, I
Yeah.
slept in there so I wouldn't have to be in a.
Well, you slept like a
Tent with you
rock.
guys.
We even let you sleep. We woke up before you, got everything pretty well packed up. And then
That's what you
then
think
woke you
is.
up.
I got up before you and peed on your tent.
Mm.
Yep.
Well, technically, you really screwed yourself because that's your brother's tent.
You slept with Scott that night.
You're
So-
right, I did. So you peed on your own tent.
Technically,
Holly's tent.
Holly's tent.
Ah. Well, either way, I still win. You lose.
Yeah. That's why you smell
But-
like pee the whole trip.
So
No way.
despite the rough start,
Yeah.
or like we had a plan, we can get up this access, and the upper access is actually a ferry.
Yes.
And we wanted to put in that night, but the ferry was against the bank
Where
and
they
we
park it.
couldn't like back a boat in.
Mm-hmm.
So the next morning we got up, got all our stuff packed, the boat semi-loaded enough to ride on the highway or the
Dirt
road,
road.
Mm.
and get to the ferry. And sure enough, a lady comes out and she's like, "I'll have to put you in on the other side of the river."
So we got a.
She was such a cool lady, though.
Yeah.
She
I
was.
never had my truck go on to a ferry.
A barge before?
A barge, yeah.
What did that feel
Can
like
you
driving
imagine?
on?
Dude, that was the weirdest
freak you
feeling.
out?
No, honestly, it was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to put my truck on like this big, huge metal boat thing that ferries you across the river. But if something goes wrong with this thing, my truck's in the river with,
Yeah.
with the trailer.
Yeah. What do you do?
Nothing.
Yeah.
You just
Watch
get
it
out and
sink.
swim.
Yeah.
But it was a really cool experience.
It was.
Really cool. And then
Scott, that would have been right up your alley. But poor Scott was back at camp with all our gear in his canoe, waiting for us to float down. Because Andre was going to drop the boat, Garrett and I, and drive his boat back with the trailer, or drive his truck and the trailer back and park it. And then we were going to float. It was like 2 mile stretch
Mm-hmm.
down and meet up with them.
right.
Well, and you know, the funny part, you guys, I dropped you guys in. I went back to Scott, but I got back on the ferry after dropping you guys in. I got to talking with that old gal.
Mm-hmm.
Her family's been there since the 1960s. 1960s.
Mm-hmm.
So that house right there at the river has been in their family forever, and she decided to move back and raise her family there.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
pretty cool.
Yeah.
They had like guinea hens and
Yeah.
turkeys and geese.
Kind of like almost a nostalgic life. Like you
Yeah.
just live there and then you shuttle people across the river.
She also
Yeah.
told me apparently somebody had a wedding on the ferry.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Somebody
Huh.
got married on the ferry.
On the ferry.
Yeah,
That's
they,
pretty
they
cool.
rolled the ferry out into the middle of the river with the wedding party and all that, and got married on the ferry. I was like, that's kind of wild. That's different.
Yeah.
Who could say they've done that?
Right.
Probably not a lot of people.
No.
Yeah. That's good if you want to get away from your in-laws. You put them on one bank
Yeah.
and then you ferry over to the
Did
other
they
one.
fight? Did they have the bride on one bank and the groom on the other and have to go pick them up? What is it? The Capulets and the
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Taking it back to high school again.
Oh,
Romeo
God.
Juliet. What is it?
I can't
Come on,
remember.
Scott.
It's Hatfields and McCoys.
No,
Hell,
that's,
Hatfields and
that
McCoys.
works.
That's in the South.
That's
but
the South.
what
yeah.
was Romeo Juliet? The Capulets and
Who was the other one?
It's two flowers, two roses, isn't it?
no, the Julie.
I love how you think I did well in high school English class.
I thought you were from Virginia. You're supposed to be well educated over there.
Fired.
Fired.
It's the South. What do you expect?
So we threw the boat in. Andre takes off. I look at Garrett. This whole time, we've prepped this boat. I get it from my dad's house. It's full of holes. It won't hold air. I spend like 4 days patching this thing in the heat.
Yeah.
I get it all patched up. The tubes hold water. We have a little 2-horse motor we're going to try. Dad's had in storage forever, just in case when you're on that river, if the wind blows upstream, it can strand you on an inflatable unless you have a motor. So we throw this 2-horse motor in, we're going to use it. But to do that, your boat needs to be stickered. You need to have a number.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of shit, just a bunch of crap to pay the state of Montana.
So
some
they
get
changed
their
it recently. I want to say like 5 to 10 years ago, you didn't have to have all that. But now in the state of Montana, if you put a motor on any boat, it has to be registered,
Yep.
which means you have to have someone come out, validate the serial number, make sure it's not stolen, assign you a number. Then you have to put that on there. Then you have to go to the DMV. Even if you like put an electric trolling motor on a float tube, you'd have to go through all those requirements.
Yeah.
How stupid
Which
is
it
that?
needs to
Yeah.
be changed. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. We
Yeah.
had to go through all that to put a 2-horse.
Yeah.
Just
It should be like, it used to be like 5 horse and under was free.
Right.
Yeah,
Or electric.
That's what it
yeah,
should
or electric
be.
or something like that,
That's what it
right?
should be.
Because we're not, that's
Yeah.
not really a registered vehicle there. It's a
No.
and we probably won't ever put the motor back on that boat. But-
After that experience,
We hop on. We're gonna go these 2 miles. I go, Garrett, we might as well drop the motor in and just head down to them,
Yeah.
save some time. So I set it in. We get it going. I pull the choke on, and I pull it once. It doesn't start. I go to pull it twice. It doesn't start. And I go to pull it the third time, and it comes out about 6 inches, and that rope catches.
Stops.
Oh man, we're like, what the fuck? Well, there's a nut on top, and I'm like, well, let's undo the nut, and pull the cover off, and look at the rope. I do undo the nut.
Nothing
won't
happens.
come off.
Yeah.
There's 4 more bolts underneath. All right, so we throw the nut in a little box in the dry box, and we're like, we'll just have to float. Motor's bricked. Glad we went through all this
Yeah.
work to
Yeah.
have a motor that won't
took
turn.
the wrong nut off.
Yeah.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is when he knew he fucked up.
Fuck.
So we
That
did.
was Jared's fault.
It was. I should have
Yeah.
thought about it a little longer.
Well, it
I
makes
never
sense.
taken one apart
Right.
before. So we get down to where Scott and Andre are waiting. I go, Andre's got a set of tools in the
Mhm.
back of his truck. When we get there, let's stop, grab the tools, see if we can fix the motor before we physically leave, downriver too far.
Thank God I'm a contractor.
So we did. We worked on the motor. I got frustrated. Again, I was feeling like shit and acting like a baby. But
So what had happened is there's a spring in there that
a torsion spring.
Yep.
helps you, like it pulls that rope after you pull
that
it, right?
rope fell off the wheel and twisted on the axle that holds that wheel. So you
Mhm.
couldn't pull the rope out. So I had to take the cover off and untangle that rope on the wheel, and we would have been fine. But since I removed that top nut, that's what held the thing together with the torsion spring. So as soon as we lift off the lid, that torsion spring goes, and
Yeah.
it just was like,
Yeah, it was terrible.
And it was like your hands were holding it, my hands were holding it. We're both like just trying to mash it back
I
together.
was holding the excess of that freaking
Yeah.
torsion spring.
Yeah.
and then it
Three
means-
guys trying to freaking.
and
put
Scott
this
was
thing
sitting in
together.
his canoe like, I ain't fucking
Yeah.
getting involved.
He's like, these guys are yelling at each other. It's fine.
But So we're frustrated. The motor doesn't work. Now we got a mess. And then people just kept showing up. Boats and canoes and canoes.
Oh
and
my God.
it's like,
There
what
was
did we
enough-
sign up
We got
for?
passed by somebody in a inner tube while you guys were screwing around.
Yep.
With that.
There was
we
enough Nature Valley bars in those fucking canoes to feed a small country. Yeah, but we finally got it together. We thought about it.
It took an
figured-
hour, but we got her.
I think it did take about an hour.
Yeah, it was an hour. I checked the time.
But then the motor was gonna work, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
And then we headed out.
Yep. You also have to remember that you caught a fish like before we tore apart the motor
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
in front of everyone. So that always feels good anytime
Yeah,
you're
all
floating
them
by
yuppie
someone.
fucks are sitting there loading their canoes, and I hooked up,
Yuppie.
floating right by them. Yeah. that
Yeah,
was
remember they
enjoyable.
were yelling at you, "Hey, save some fish for us."
Yeah. Yeah. That felt good. But we floated down some more. It was fishing good. We were
Yeah.
catching goldeneye. Wasn't
Lots and
fishing
lots
good
of
for
goldeneye.
much, but
So
goldeneye,
many-
goldeneye.
So many
I mean, they're
goldeneye.
still fun to catch.
Yeah, it's still catching a fish. I'd rather have them than nothing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it makes it fun.
And we come down across this island. I think Garrett's or Andre was on the sticks.
Yep.
And
I was.
I'm like, turn, I'm going to throw across this dead water. And I hook up and I'm like, holy shit, this is a big fish, you know? And it was bending my pole clear over. And at first I thought it was a snag.
And he had the smallest
like,
little
pulling
pole
it. Yeah,
too. I'm
it's
like, what
like-
is this guy doing with this? The
I
small
just
little
had my
Yeah.
trout rod.
yeah,
Way too
Um,
small.
too small.
But I pull and all of a sudden a pike, I don't know. It's a fishing story. So no,
Yeah.
he was probably about this long,
Right.
would you say? He wasn't huge,
I
but he
bet
was
you
still pretty
probably
good.
like 26, 28 inches.
I think it was 30.
Yeah, you go. You
Of
go
course,
ahead.
you shriek it.
You go ahead and think that.
Well, you can look at the video online. There's some guy out there that can take it and look at the shadows and like,
Scale
be
it up.
like, it's 27.96 inches long.
Somebody was talking smack on me, apparently sleeping on the net, dude.
Yeah.
What? On that post, that was
Yeah.
that was
Oh, did
ridiculous.
somebody?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yes.
Did you see my reply?
I,
it's
need to go-
hilarious.
I haven't seen it yet.
I didn't
you-
look at your reply.
You gotta look. You gotta look at it. It's funny.
Yeah. So, anyways, Andre's on the net. He's also on the oars, and this fish comes up next to the boat, and it was like time to scoop him up, and it just didn't happen. And he took off running and broke off.
Well, the thing is, it didn't happen because he switched from one end of the boat to the other end of the boat. And I
Yeah, the
went to-
video doesn't capture that.
right, and I went to throw that dang net down, and Jared goes, "Don't do that yet. He can see you." And I go, and I'm like,
I'm out of the water. I've seen the video so many times.
"Yeah, yeah." Go ahead, Garrett. You go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
So Jared's like chewing his ass, like he can see through the water. If you lunge at him like that, he's gonna take all my line, Garrett. And then boop.
Yeah.
Lure popped out. It didn't break my line, but
a lure popped out. He spit
when
it out. Yeah.
that video doesn't capture, that was the second time he was next to the boat. He was next to the boat the first time on the other side.
right. And
We
he,
missed the net.
and he
Then I
switched.
swung him around. We bring him up this side, and you went from this side. You jumped to the other side. When you did that, that spooked him, and he went to take off. And
Yeah.
that's when I said, "Hey, don't spook him. He can see you." I got him next to the boat.
All
Yeah.
I'm saying is maybe you should have got him a little more tired before you brought him into the boat.
Yeah, you should have wore that guy down. You
Oh
had him
my
so close to the
God.
boat so fast.
That would have been my new PB.
I mean, yeah,
No, it wouldn't have.
yeah,
it wouldn't
yeah.
have.
Here's what I'm saying.
It was hilarious. and then I felt bad the entire trip because I lost the pike.
And we rubbed it into
Yeah,
everything.
you did.
Andre
But I-
get a little sassy to be like, "Oh yeah, well at least I didn't fuck up on the biggest northern pike I've ever seen."
And you know what's funny? I started playing along and I kept bringing it up too. So
Yeah.
I know how to make fun of myself. It's all right.
Yeah.
The
So-
worst is like if that would have happened to me, I'd have been like, "That was you shouldn't have brought it to the boat so soon. You should have tired him out." But like 20 minutes later, like, Jared, I really fucked that up for you. Like,
Andre,
you admitted it. And
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
did.
"Don't ever."
I did. And Garrett was like, "You stupid idiot." He goes, "Why did you say that? He's going to run with that for the rest of his life."
Yeah.
I go, shit, you're right. Yeah, it is what it is.
But that was like kind of right off the bat.
Yeah. Yep. Like first actual hole we floated by.
Yeah. So we're like, this is gonna be.
We actually oared up in there and we
Mhm.
caught a ton of fish. I think all three of us were
Yeah.
throwing lures and it was
Dude.
like fish after fish after fish.
Well, I had like 5 fish. I ended up pulling, granted, they're all goldeneye, but
Yeah.
5 of them
Yeah.
back to back. to
You ended
back.
up catching a little northern.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah,
Like-
you did. That
Felt
guy,
like
that was
maybe.
probably
Yeah,
a
probably a
little
little
14 or 16 incher, I think, is what that was. A little guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But that was the only
But at
two
least
pike of the trip.
someone got a pike in the boat.
Fucking
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh.
I didn't even see your rod bend on that one. It was like, do I got a little moss on it? Oh, what is that?
It wasn't even moss. What do you mean? We were all sitting there going, "Oh, it's a golden eye," and he yanks it out, and it's a freaking mini pike. And we were like,
little
"I'll
pike.
be damned."
I'll be damned. Is that a lure or is that a fish you caught?
Yeah, no kidding.
Still
Meanwhile,
counts.
Scott had brought up his canoe, and you were floating next to us and fishing the whole time. Correct, Scott?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Scott has this ability. Keep in mind, I'm tired, I'm sick, I'm crabby. He had this ability. Everywhere I would look to cast, he'd be sitting there. Every fishing hole, every turn, every ripple,
He'd be ahead of us.
I'd be like, oh, here we go, here we go. And I'd turn a corner, and Scott would be there fucking sitting there looking at me, sleeping, which was the most irritating, or fishing. So I can't blame him too much if he's fishing there. But we floated down a little bit farther after that good hole, and Scott started to yell. And we look over, and he caught that weird-looking big carp.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that thing was huge, dude.
And I'm watching him reel in, like, previous to this, and he's reeling really slow. And I'm like, there's no way his lure is swimming. It's got to be just dragging
On the
bottom.
bottom.
But I've never seen a guy catch was it a carp or sucker fish? I don't know. I've never seen that type of fish before. It was some kind of large-scale
It was a nice
bottom
fight. It
dweller.
was big. It was nice.
I don't know how you hooked him in the mouth. I could have seen you snagging him,
With how slow you were reeling, yeah,
but he got him.
he did. He made
They
us.
make fun of my technique, but I get results.
You know what? Hey, you're right. Whatever works for you, I guess.
Yeah.
More than one way to skin a cat.
So, but that was pretty fun. And we floated some more and got out and went to look at some teepee rings. And we weren't in people, but there was constantly people floating by.
Right.
We were floating a lot slower, though. I think. And it-
Emphasis on the a lot slower.
Yeah.
Like we were going way slow. If you could think slow, think super snail speed. Oh my God, look at that fishing hole there. Oh, row to the other side of the river. Get to that one. We were hitting every fishing hole you could possibly think of.
It's trying to get that pike back.
Yeah.
Because this guy over here is like, I gotta catch that northern. I gotta catch that northern. I'm like, oh God.
But I think
But then-
also they were
they look-
going. Go ahead, Scott.
But they look over at me and they go, "Boy, you're sitting in a canoe. You're going really fast." And I'm used to kayaks, which are even faster than canoes. And I'm going, "No, I'm not. You guys are just slow."
Yep.
Yeah. And we were slow fishing, right? Slow floating and fishing. I think these other guys, they weren't really interested in.
I didn't really see any fishing gear.
No, they were just like floating, and they get to their camp at like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and they would get out and they would hang out at camp. And we were like floating till pretty much dark before we set up camp. But
Yeah, this dickhead has out until freaking damn near nighttime, and then we're trying to get our dinner ready in the dark.
God, how'd you do it, Andre? Barely made it.
No, I didn't barely make it. I showed you up. That's what I did. Oh my God, he can actually hang.
I
What
will,
do you know?
I will say this. I'm a little more confident in your rowing abilities now.
Yeah, well, you're welcome. I just needed to, refresh myself
Yeah.
a little bit. That's
Yeah.
all.
So
You got some good fishing in with me on the road.
we did, but we were floating slow, and Scott was in a canoe, and so Scott's MO was he would just sleep.
Dude, he had the life.
Can you tell us more about that, Scott?
Yeah, could you?
Well, so you guys are the dumb ones. Everybody else is paddling downstream. You guys are paddling back upstream to find a fish.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
And what I would do is the river is like a lake that just moves at 2 mile an hour downstream. So it's pretty flat. There's nothing to hit. There is not a tree, nothing to hit.
So it's slow as it is.
And so I'd lay back, nod off for about 20, 30 minutes, wake up. I'm way downstream. You guys are way upstream. I go, oh, I better pull over. So I pull over kind of by the shallow spot, or you find a hole where the water's not moving.
What a fishing
And then,
hole.
20
Yeah,
minutes
he
later,
pulls over on a fishing hole.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, now keep in mind, I've been on top of this same spot for the past 30 minutes. Jared comes down and goes, "You're in my spot. I want to fish there." Like,
Yeah.
dude, I was here first.
That's accurate. Hey, bub, go to the other side of the river is what you should have told him.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
We all got our workout in on them damn
Sticks.
sticks. That's for sure. Rowing that raft.
I didn't.
No,
You did.
No,
you got a
were
little bit in
never.
there.
You never rode.
I rode a little bit
No,
that
you
first day, and then
Yeah.
it's like we have
Yeah.
0.1 to go. Okay, I'll oar. Like, thanks, Jared. But it was your trip, right?
yeah.
Well, I mean, we wanted to make sure he could fish as
Right.
much as he wanted. Hell, it was his bachelor party. Makes sense,
Right.
you know?
Well, I appreciate it.
No, but you guys are good. 3/4 miles upriver, I can hear Andre. No, the other way. No, row the other way. No, you're going in circles. I want to go back.
Oh, man. Worst captain ever.
His
I'm
poor
over here like,
kids.
shut the
I was
hell
just
up and
thinking
let me
about,
row. I'm like, can you just drink a beer already, for fuck's sake?
Scott's very versed in Jared from our duck hunting trip with Jared and the sticks.
You guys make me seem horrible, but I don't think I'm half as bad as our dad was teaching us to row.
Hey, you know what? We don't need to bring Joe in this.
I think Joe needs to make a cameo in this because I remember distinctly as a child learning to
Here
row
we
that
go,
boat
childhood
on the
trauma.
Yellowstone, and him being like, "You got a back row, you got a back row, you got a back row." Oh, no, you just killed your whole family.
Say goodbye to your brother.
Say goodbye to your brother. You just killed your whole family because you don't want to listen. So I think I'm toned down from that at least.
I mean, thank God. Jesus, poor Holly
The
over
cycle of
here.
abuse continues.
I'd feel bad if it was just you and Holly on a raft.
She knows what she's doing, Andre.
Yeah, sure she does.
Yeah, Holly would shut down. She doesn't do good with yelling.
Well, you don't gotta yell at him. You know,
It's
But-
a
but
form of
notice-
communication that my ancestors started.
that the Mason family started a long time ago. AKA,
The
it's the
Weevils,
only way we
they're
know
all
how to
yellows.
communicate, according to the Masons, including Garrett. You're
I
not out of
never
the
yell.
you're not out of the woods either,
Yeah.
bud.
I'm the calm one.
Yeah. Well, I will say you're a lot calmer. You take after your mom a little more, but boy, oh boy, you get you riled up. You're just the same.
But we were floating down, and I think a lot of people floating are looking for campsites, and we were looking for a fishing hole.
Right.
Where's there a fishing hole we can camp next to?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if it's got a fire ring. Where's a fishing hole? So that first night, searching and looking at aerial maps, we thought we found something that would work. So we pulled in there, and I wanted to explore. It had really cool like cliffs and castle rocks and stuff in the back of it. So we kind of walked up there, and as we're walking, I'm looking upstream, and I'm going, "It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain." You can kind of see the rain coming, and all of a sudden it started raining, and Scott and Andre disappeared, and Garrett was with me for a little bit longer, and then Garrett headed back to the boat, and I'm thinking, there ain't shit in the fucking boat unless you're opening up all of our stuff to get under. I did not think about Scott's canoe because he had a bunch of gear. I was thinking you need to get him a dry box. And so I just kind of walked through those castle rocks and found a cave and stood in the cave. So my dog and I stayed dry there, and when the rain quit, it was one of those shower storms where it comes in and it just like dumps for 10 minutes and then it's gone. And when I came out of the cave, I looked down at the boat and there's some weird circle jerk thing going on. Pictures to follow. I got 3 dudes standing underneath like a 4x6 tarp.
Hey,
You know
it
what?
worked.
I'm going to tell you something about this. He makes it sound like he was the smart one. And when in all actuality, he was the dipshit who knew the storm was coming, was like, let's stick around a little bit.
Rain
we
don't
needed
scare
to
me.
keep our stuff
Rain
dry.
don't scare me.
It's not about the fact that it don't scare you. It's about the fact keeping our stuff dry. And this guy's like, I'm going to go explore. Yeah.
I think
And
that
we're
stuff
over here,
stayed
we're
dry.
over here like trying to keep our stuff dry because he forgot, like he just stated, it's on camera, he forgot about the canoe. But that had all of our stuff in it.
You're right. Your sleeping bag got wet, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let me say this.
let me
I knew
tell you,
all
it's
of my
not fun.
stuff in the canoe was fine because it was in dry bags.
Oh, so it was all about Jared. See? There we go. It's fine though. It's fine
I've
though.
never
I
met
made it
somebody-
through. I
Okay.
dried out my shit.
Yeah.
We're good.
I've never met somebody that goes on a 4-day river trip and leaves their sleeping bag out.
What do you mean out? It was in the canoe.
Not
was
in a
an out-
waterproof bag.
Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I never met
You're
someone
right.
with that
Not
big of
even a
nuts
trash
before.
You're right. I didn't put it in a. I got some pretty big nuts. I guess. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But talk about we're looking for a fishing spot. So it wasn't necessarily the best place to camp because like all our camping stuff's in the dry box, and it's like what 10 foot of like straight up and then flat.
Mm-hmm.
So all our
Mhm.
stuff we had to like carry up versus you look across the river where everyone else was camping. It's like a nice meadow,
No fishing hole.
flat, no fishing hole.
No fishing hole.
I love how every time it came to the damn dry box, Scott was like trying to go the other way.
Dry box, rattlesnakes, water. Scott disappears.
They are the only people I know that go camping. They bring all their backpacking stuff and they put it in a metal box that weighs 7,000 pounds.
Dry box.
And then instead of just taking the 3 things you need out of it, let's just take the whole box.
Got a system.
Yeah. So we set up camp, mashed down the grass. It was pretty good sleeping that night compared to the first night.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, because we set up on some really tall, thick, like grass,
Lush
Yeah,
grass.
like lush
Mhm.
grass. Yeah, it was awesome. Because disclaimer, I got a nice pad from Joe.
Fuck
That-
Joe.
That Joe guy, man. Fuck him. Oh yeah, I got a pad for you. Yeah, doesn't even fucking work. So guess what? I'm over here freaking breaking my back on rocks and shit.
The first night.
Yeah, the first night, and then the second night, thank God we found some tall grass. You know what? I actually slept decent because there was some serious padding there. But my God, yeah, I tell you what. Next time I see your dad,
God forbid he lets you use his shit.
next
I'll
time I
tell him
see
next
your
time.
old man, I tell you
Well,
what, he's gonna get
Zill's
one.
stuff's good. It's just his stuff's good. It's just anything that is required to hold air, including boats, stay away from.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, Joe's stuff is good when it's not broken. Love him to
not
death.
wrong.
So,
though.
so
Love
it's
him
never
to death.
it's never good.
But immediately we get the camp spot. You and Scott cooked, but Jared and I threw in some set lines and then grabbed other rods and we started fishing up and down
yeah.
this.
Scott and
Yeah.
I were like, you know what? The best thing we can do is get dinner going.
Scott had a
and-
long day of laying there napping. You know, he really wanted to just eat and go to bed. And Andre, bless his soul, slept on the ground the night before. I understand they're both tired. I don't think they quite realized the level of fishing fanatics my brother and I were.
We didn't realize until that night, and that's okay because
It's all
we
about
learned-
fishing.
We learned real quick, and
Yeah,
it was funny.
we didn't realize the hunting fanatic applied to fishing as well. We thought there'd be like one animal you could face that wasn't like 100%.
So
I love how many times I had to point out how many damn freaking hits you guys were getting on your rods when that
our
bell
set
was going.
lines,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you're getting a hit, like a hard one, and Jared rips his neck over to his line, and he goes, "Holy crap! I've never seen that guy move that fast. Not even in high
The
school."
best is when we're down fishing and pretty soon Andre hollers, "Hey, Jared, you get a hit." And Jared, I haven't seen him run that fast. He's just booking it towards his rod. Like you could have put slow motion montage music with
surprised you didn't.
No. You should have put that one song. How's that go? Da, 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 in the slow
it.
motion.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that. And then he probably got like 50 yards from it. And Scott comes out of nowhere, runs down, and grabs his rod, and starts reeling in the fish.
Yo, Scott snagged a massive catfish.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a good cat. That a
Jared
good
was
cat.
like,
That was
Jared looks at Scott and he was telling us, he was like, man, I had half a mind to take that rod from
I
Scott.
did.
But I was like, you know
I
what?
ran this
Scott,
whole way.
yeah, Scott doesn't get to do this very often, so I'm going to just let him do it.
He'll let. I'll
Yeah,
finish.
that
Let
That
You
was
know
the
what?
biggest catfish of the night.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? Jared was a real good sport about it. I'll tell you what. I've
Hey,
never seen him run
Fuck
that
you,
fast.
Scott. It's my Bachelor. Probably could have
Hey, I
caught a
would like
big
to point out-
catch.
that is the easiest fish I've ever caught. All I did was walk 10 feet down the bank and grab the fishing pole. Didn't have to set any of it up. Didn't have to put the rod holders out. Didn't have to cut bait.
Hey,
Just
man,
pulled it in and then went back to cooking dinner.
here's what we say about that in the construction business. You're the closer.
Yep.
Jared's the guy who just gets you in the door.
Yep. Got it all good. And then Garrett, you caught a nice one.
Yeah.
And we kind of caught fish off and on that whole night.
And then I hooked something big. Felt
Ooh,
big.
Yeah.
And I'm reeling in, and then it kind of pops out of the water, and Jared goes, "That's the weirdest looking fucking catfish I've ever seen." And it was a turtle,
A
It was a
softshell turtle.
which
Yeah.
I've never caught before.
Dude, that thing
I'm
looked
sitting there.
wild.
Yeah.
He was pissed.
Yeah, trying to bite you.
Yeah, he was trying to bite you. I was like, well, I mean, I could blame him. He had a hook in his mouth.
Yeah.
But, geez.
We had to cut your hook.
Yeah.
We did.
Get it
Yeah,
out.
we didn't want to hurt. You almost got his eye.
With that hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we ended up cutting it.
I mean, I've fished for catfish on that river before, on different rivers before. I've never hooked a.
Never
A
hooked
turtle.
a turtle.
No, that
Yeah.
was pretty wild. You did a good job cutting that hook, though.
And
He was
dinner-
all right.
Dinner Scott was good. It was what? It was like hamburger, mashed potatoes. Or maybe that was it. I just know it was good.
That was
Yeah.
it.
That was hamburger.
What was-
That was well seasoned, right, Scott?
And then after dinner, I went and there was like this 500-foot kind of cliff
Oh yes.
dog. We hiked to the top.
So
That was really cool.
was that after dinner or before dinner?
After dinner because it was getting dark.
Yeah, he hiked.
That was after.
We're like, where's Scott and Forge? Because Forge went. And we look clear up on these cliffs above us.
Massive.
Here comes Scott and Forge, clear out on the top.
Mhm.
Took some cool pictures up there. Well, he gets back to camp. We're fishing for a while. It's dark. The whole turtle thing happens. And then Scott goes, I left my phone charger up there.
My battery up there. Yeah, because
I
my
was gonna
phone
say
was
it's got
dead.
to be a
I
power
took the
bank,
battery
right?
with
Not
me.
a charger, right?
Yeah. Well, there was electricity up there. There was a plug-in.
Yeah. Didn't you know that?
Oh my
Little
God.
120
There was a
volt
bar
plug-in.
up there. Where were you? There was a bar too. Where were you?
You know, I was in the wrong place.
Yeah, but Scott, I just remember he came to me. He's like, "Yeah, I left my phone charger up there," and I want to say like, "I'll hike up there with you," but I just couldn't. I couldn't get myself to be like,
Right.
"I'll go with you."
Well, Garrett's
There's
like,
a
I go
ways
with
up
you, but
there.
it's like dark now. It's dark. Well, there was
Yeah.
no reason to go up because there's no view. There's nothing view left.
Yeah. So you hiked back up there and got your phone charger.
I did get a really cool picture though, because like there was just enough light for the river to be lit up. Then you look down, you see Garrett's lightsaber fishing pole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
just like
that's
one
right.
little
Your fishing
speckle
pole
on the
lit
photo.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's pretty
remember
cool.
that.
light up rod.
Your whole fishing pole lights up.
Yeah,
Like
that was-
Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to catch some fish.
With some turtles.
Some turtle. Yeah, there you go.
But we didn't stay up too late, maybe midnight ish.
Yeah, it wasn't too late.
I fished a little bit of top water. I was getting hits, but I never hooked anything. It's like they weren't big enough to grab my top water. But I was fishing. I was hoping for pike, and I was fishing with, I don't know, it's probably this big,
Mm.
just a big top water thing. So
That was the night I was drinking and I went straight to bed, wasn't
no,
it?
No,
no,
Oh, that was the other night.
yeah,
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. I had a few beers in me that the other night, but yeah,
yeah.
that was good.
So the next day we woke up, packed up camp, had stuff dry out because in that tall grass it still was kind of wet. And I don't know if it rained that night as well or not. But it
things
was,
were just kind of wet.
yeah, things were wet. So we dried stuff out, got it all packed up, headed out. And our first stop wasn't too far. It was like we floated maybe a mile or so. And we went, there's supposed to be a horse pictograph up in some coulee.
Oh yeah.
So we hiked all the way up there, and at the last minute, Scott and Andre decided that they didn't want to get their shoes wet, so they didn't go up and look at the horse pictograph. But Garrett and I walked up there, and it took us a long time to find it.
Right, because we were imagining like kind of like painted on,
Yeah.
and this is where the GPS pin says that it is, and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So then we started like, and it's a huge rock face, so it's like
It's not just like,
where at.
yeah, it's not like, oh, this is where it's going to be. It just was this giant cliff wall.
You had to
that we were
find it.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah. I
So-
laughed really hard after they showed us the picture of what it was. And I was like, well, I'm really glad I didn't need to go up there.
It wasn't easy to see, but it was still kind of cool.
It
Yeah.
looked like a kindergartner put a couple scratches in a rock that
It
made a
did.
really bad horse drawing. And I was like, all right, cool.
Hey,
Got
don't insult that artist.
well, you
You
know.
worked hard on it.
Yeah, maybe they did, but that's all right.
But we saw that, and I go, Garrett, the chances of
This being the only thing.
this being
up
the
here.
only thing. So we started to look around, and we ended up finding another bunch of pictographs.
Like with teepees.
with
and
teepees kind of underneath some bushes. So that was kind of cool.
Really cool.
And that's not on the map. So I kind of feel like we're one of the few people that have seen that.
Put the extra effort out.
Yeah.
A lot of people just go,
There's
want
a
to get their
horse.
shoes wet.
Yeah, they stop short about
Yeah.
50 yards.
Hey, you know, you might be sitting across from me, but I swear to God, I got a mug here. It'll reach you.
Oh, what are we, 20 minutes in and he's threatening to beat my ass already?
Don't. I didn't threaten nothing. That's a promise.
And what was nice about this float too is there was bathrooms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So every once in a while you could stop at an outhouse if you wanted to.
Did it ever line up for an outhouse?
Not to camp. But I mean, when we stopped for the pictographs, I think everybody used the outhouse.
No.
Yeah.
Because you race that guy.
Yeah.
I go, Garrett, there's a
that
guy
was
coming.
hilarious. We'd never seen Garrett haul ass like that. And it was like, it wasn't like him running. It was him doing a fast walk. Like he was speed walking.
Well, you can't run in front of a guy. That's
Yeah.
rude.
But if you
The
speed
hell
walk,
you- no, the hell you can't. I would have. Shit, screw you, man. You snooze, you lose, some bitch. I'll get in there for you. If I got to drop trow, I got to drop trow.
that was almost like a movie skit, though, where it's like I pop up on one side and then clear across the valley, he pops up and there's one bathroom in between us.
Yep.
That's some Adam Sandler shit right there.
That was funny. And then we floated down maybe another mile, 3/4 of a mile, and then we were going to walk up these very tight canyons, very tight coulees.
Like slot canyons.
Is that what they're called?
I believe so.
It's basically when like each side's a cliff and it's just wide enough for a person to get through. And we
God.
spent quite a few hours up in there.
Yeah.
And that was cool. We hiked to the top of one, and then we didn't go all the way to the top of the other one, but we went up and there was like 2 forks of it. We went up the shorter fork second, and there was a hole in the wall or a natural bridge or whatever that we went. And that was cool. We took some photos of you and
Oh,
the dog.
yeah.
It should be an album cover, I think.
That
That's
should
pretty
be
cool.
that was
Yeah.
honestly. I saw that picture you sent it to me. I was like, damn, Forge and I look damn good in that
Yeah,
picture.
It did. It came out really good.
I was like, my God,
I was impressed
that-
with your dog on all that rock.
dude. Your dog is so damn
Athletic.
Well, yes, that's to say the least. But I mean, when it comes to taking pictures, my God, he takes some amazing pictures with you because he just, I don't get it. The dog is like aware. It seems like he's aware.
That he's getting pictures taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, he climbed all that shit with us.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Once in a while, maybe needed a push or something, but
Or a drag.
yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
But as we're up in here, and I'm kind of a fan of water. Like even as a kid, I liked when it would rain and there'd be water in the gutters running, or I'd turn the hose on at the house and make little cricks in the backyard. And we're up in these slot canyons, and you can tell where the water just pours in. And I'm like, God, it'd be cool to see this in a raining, you know?
It'd be so cool if it was raining up here. That's all I want.
Yeah, that's all he would say the whole damn time. It'd be so cool if it was raining right now, just pouring down. Shit you not.
That thunder started
20
to crack.
minutes later, thunderstorm starts to roll, and we heard that thunder exactly.
Yeah.
And it was loud.
And we're like, we got to get out of here.
I was like, we got to go. And Jared's like, oh, no, go check this out over here. You knew he was stalling for time.
Well,
You knew.
Scott's the one that did it to us.
Yeah.
So we were coming down, and the rocks, we're like, oh shit, we're climbing out of this. It'll be a little slippery. We come down. I screw around in that little water coming off, drink that, get a mouthful of sand. That's horrible. And you're like, hey, when Scott left,
Whoa,
he
whoa,
was
whoa,
like,
let me stop you there. This guy, after I washed my hands in the same spot, he decides to take a drink of water. I'm like, this is really sandy. This is all sandstone.
Sandstone, sand
and he
below.
goes, you still got the video?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Coming soon.
That needs to get posted. That I haven't laughed so hard in a long time. He screwed up what he wanted to say, but it was the funniest thing ever. And he goes under this little stream that's pouring down, and he starts drinking full mouth of sand. Full mouth of sand.
Yeah, it was.
And
It's
I'm
just
over here like,
sand
what did you
water.
expect, dude? What are you doing? Oh.
Yeah, wasn't wasn't fun.
But so we got to get out of here, right? This is weighing on our mind. Scott disappeared, of course, but right before he left, he goes, "You guys see the waterfall around the corner?"
He goes, "You guys see the waterfall up here?" Because he stayed on the path, and we went up, climbed up.
Yeah, we were above him.
Yeah, and so when he goes to leave, he goes, "You see the waterfall?" And so we go to leave, and it's raining, and I'm like, I don't think I'll ever be back here. We got to go see the waterfall. So what fucking waterfall, Scott? Because I went and we hiked up there and couldn't find one.
He's full of shit.
It was the water coming off the side of the canyon. It was
The one we were drinking out of.
That was the same one he was drinking out of. Yeah, I freaking knew it too. I was
God
like, this
damn
guy,
it.
we saw a better one going down the other way. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we went up to see the waterfall where we thought Scott told us it was.
That's getting recorded. That's getting
and
printed.
we get up there and it's raining harder and it starts to hail.
Tongue twisters.
And it starts to hail. And we get up there and it's like, holy shit, all of a sudden this path we are on is not like a little trickle. It's like starting to roar water.
Mhm.
And it's only maybe 15 minutes of rain. But all of a sudden there's creeks and shit dumping in from every angle because the whole canyon is just rock. So none of it soaks in. It just takes a little bit and it funnels it in these little channels and they dump in. And so we're filming. The phones aren't working. They're soaked.
Just
We're walking
fogged
down.
up. Yeah.
Scott's gone. Tell us what's going through your mind, Scott, after you abandoned us up there.
Well, okay. So I take the path following the bottom, right? This kind of the path that everybody takes the bottom. They see an arch, natural bridge, and they go, "Oh, we want to go screw around up here." So that's fine. I'm taking the bottom. So I go and I keep going until it kind of ends. And so I look at everything. You guys are up on the top screwing around, which is fine. It starts to rain. I stand under a ledge and I hear you guys. Then I think you're heading out. So I start to head out, tell you about my waterfall. And I yell at Garrett, "Hey, I'm heading out of the canyon." Because I thought you guys were just going to screw around a little bit and then head out. I went to school for hydrology. People die in these things. So I'm not about to die. I am not going to risk my life and die so Jared can screw around in the rain for another 10 minutes. I learned my lesson the night before.
Scott
I'll book
goes
it.
in. Yeah.
So I'm coming out. I know where the boats are. Like, I know if I head out, I won't miss them or nothing. 'Cause I don't want to die, especially now with Jared.
The best is like
I book and on the way back to the boat. And once I get out of the canyon where the grass starts to kind of spread a little bit more, it just starts dumping. And I walk another probably about half mile. And so I'm standing in the concrete outhouse bathrooms kind of got an awning on them. So I'm standing on that. It is just dumping, staring up the canyon going, God, I'm glad I'm not up there.
Absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, it was a cool experience being up there, seeing how
It
that
was.
water worked.
How quick that was.
But the hail, like that hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
The hell.
coming down.
Hey, I'm telling you right now. Yeah, I'm walking here with these guys.
The sleet.
No.
Yeah.
Hey. No. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. You bastard. You're a bastard. He deserves that. He deserves all of that. No, so we're going, right? And this thing's filling up like a freaking small river, right?
Yeah.
And our feet, we're in boat shoes, okay? We don't have socks on, nothing like that. This water is cold. And I mean cold. And I'm just like, damn, we got to get going. And I'm trying to hit every little patch where I can get out of the water for just a second and let my feet kind of, warm up for just a second before I get back in there. Because that shit hurt. It was hurting.
When the
And I was
hail
moving.
started coming down.
And then the hail was coming down. I got dinged in the head by pea-sized hail. And these guys are still dicking off up there on the rocks. I'm like, what are they doing? You know what? Screw them. I'm moving.
The best was when it started. It wasn't hail. It was sleet.
No, it died
Man.
down to sleet.
It comes down and Andre goes, "Ow!" And I go, what's wrong? You're like, I got hit by sleet. And I'm like,
No,
how does that hurt? And you go, it hit me right in the nipple.
It did. My nipple never been so hard before. I could have cut diamonds. I was like this, dude. I was like, what the hell, man?
That's
Unreal.
funny.
Mother Nature can suck it.
That's funny.
I still feel that. God.
But hiking up in there, we climbed something that was probably 10 feet tall. There's like a 10-foot little thing you had to scoot. Maybe not. Maybe 8 feet. I don't know. I didn't have a tape with me, but
Oh, how we got up there, you mean?
yeah, we got up there. Dog ran up there. We were good. Well, coming down, that river was dumping off there like a waterfall.
Oh, you're talking about that waterfall area.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was nuts.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All that shit was cool. It
Yeah.
just was like,
Now, mind you, don't forget, we had Forge with us. So
Yeah.
coming up was easy. Everything was dry, simple. Coming back down, though, we had to make sure that Forge was going to be all right. So Jared had to get down to the bottom, kind of come up a little bit, get ready to catch him. Oh, Jared found out he didn't even need to stand
no,
there.
he
His
just
dog's-
walked out.
His dog's so
Yeah.
damn athletic, he just
Yeah.
right down. He was fine.
Yeah.
I'm over here
At
like,
this point, I would like to.
What's up, Scott?
At this point, I would like to point out that I predicted all this water was coming down this canyon, and so when I was exiting the canyon, it was just a little bit of water coming down, not a river.
I think you were not the only one that predicted this fucker's gonna happen. Especially when we were first up there and it first started raining, we looked down and we could see the front of it. We could see the wall of water starting to run down the bottom. And
remember
I'm
when we
like,
first saw that stream?
Yeah.
We were like ahead of it, and we
Yeah.
watched it like start to move.
that's what I'm
towards us.
talking about. And it
Yeah,
was
that
like,
was wild.
oh shit, this is gonna get crazy in here. You know? So that was super cool.
Dude, we were so soaked.
Well,
Yeah.
then we get out of the canyon
Our shirts were stuck to us.
and it wasn't done storming in the wind. I'm like, now we're getting dangerous. In the slot
Yeah.
canyon, we were wet, but there
no
was no
wind.
wind.
No.
We got out in that grass that you were talking about, Scott, and that wind started hitting us and we were soaked and it was like, God damn, our shit's in the boat. We can't really start a fire because everything's soaked.
Yep.
How are we gonna get warm, you know?
This
And-
is how you get hypothermia.
Yeah.
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 That was a little sketch.
I wasn't past going back up in that slot canyon for a little bit to get
You
it.
want to just go play in
Yeah,
the
he just
rain
wanted
some
to
more.
play in the rain. Exactly.
Oh, fuck you, fucking pussies. We were a little wet.
He just wanted to be a kindergartner again. It's okay, Jared. No worries, buddy.
So, but we hopped on the boat and kind of put some tarps on, and I threw that wool blanket on, and we just kind of waited it out, and then
you and I sat in wet clothes until the sun came back.
yeah,
out.
yeah, to warm up.
Yeah.
I remember you're like, blah blah blah, and I'm like, this shit isn't that bad, and then you would look at me, and I'm like,
he was doing the Mr. Tough Guy shit, and
Yeah.
he goes, "It's not that bad." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
I'm trying to fish. I'm like,
You're like, "Hey, it looks like you screwed up your cast there, shaking so much because you're cold."
yeah, my
But
hands wouldn't work.
Extra action.
Hey,
Yeah.
my hands aren't working right. I
Yeah.
wonder why that is, Jared.
Yeah, that was cool though.
But it was like a little mini adventure within our larger adventure.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Because how
it
many
was.
people hike up there and not get to experience that? So that
Oh,
was
yeah.
really cool for
That
me to
was
see how
totally
it
different.
works.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you got to see how all that water just flows, literally flows downhill and back into the river.
It kind
Eventually,
of made you feel like a man a little bit being up there when that happened, like
Yeah.
fighting that element.
Absolutely.
Your feet are freezing, you know.
At
Yeah.
one point, it was raining. We're soaked, and I think I was next to you, and
we're standing by a tree.
I start screaming up at the sky. I'm like, "Is that all you got?"
Oh God!
And then that thunder starts cracking. Like, shut up,
yeah,
Jared.
yeah. And I looked at Jared. I'm like, "You're an asshole."
And we found Scott in the outhouse, and you were pretty dry. You weren't totally soaked like we were.
No, he was soaked, but there was like some dry spots on the lower part of his yellow shirt. I remember it
Yeah.
distinctly.
Yeah, but we hopped on the river. Sun came out, and it was a pretty good fishing day. After that, not great, but we found that one hole. I hooked a bass. You hooked a goldeye. We stopped and just fished there, and that's when the guys floated by, and they're like, "Save some fish for us."
Yeah, that's right.
And we
yeah.
were parked there just nailing one
Yeah,
after the other.
nailing him, and we're like, "Yeah, we'll think about it."
Yeah. So that was pretty good.
One thing that's cool about that river is it's a warm water river, so you get a variety of fish.
Yeah.
In our
Yeah, it's not just a trout stream.
later years, like growing up, we fished for a lot of warmer water fish, but
On
recently
lakes.
it's just been like trout. So it was cool to
Yeah.
get that diversity of what am I catching? Is this a
Yep.
catfish? Is this a carp? Is this a bass, a walleye? So
Northern.
Is
I
it the
really enjoyed
soccer?
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that soccer.
Yeah.
What
So
the heck?
we spend way too much time fishing. And all of a sudden we're like, what time is it? 7 o'clock. How many miles we gotta go? 3 miles on this river.
And that's a long fucking way on a river. Okay?
especially that river.
This fucking dipshit here is like, oh yeah, we're fine. Where's the next fishing hole? And I'm like, dude, I'd like to make dinner. Like, we still gotta set up camp. We have like maybe 2 hours of daylight.
If that.
If that. Yeah. 90% of the time, we had an hour before it got dark. An hour.
Andre's getting used to the Mason way.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Broke him in.
No, I'm gonna
broke him
break
in.
you guys in, I swear to God.
Yeah, so it was good. We ended up turning the motor on.
Yep.
First time.
And we learned that we're pulling straight out with that cord. We're not having to
Yep.
Thank
record.
God.
Got
the
it
spring.
going. It wasn't running quite right. It needs to be tweaked still.
Right.
But we
Needs a
could get it
God,
going.
it ran. Oh my God, thank God it ran. Because you know what? That was the funny part. That was when we were trying to catch Scott, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's what I was gonna say. We turn this motor on. I'm like, we're gonna catch this motherfucker. We start going, and I noticed Scott goes from napping. All of a sudden, he's paddling.
He
And
got on his damn knees.
did. He
He's
was
like,
staying
I'm
in
not
front
letting
of
these
us.
guys pass. Now, mind you, Scott, what did you told us afterwards? You could hear us, didn't you, Scott?
I can hear everything. You guys are talking shit. Scott, because think about it, if you're in a canoe just sitting very still in the water, you can hear a mile up and down river. Easy.
The voices carried throughout this place. It was wild.
Especially Andre. I can't hear Garrett, but I can hear Andre say, fuck this, fuck that.
Yeah, you're right. You can because I do have quite the boisterous voice, but it's a good one.
Yeah. So, what were you thinking when you heard that motor turn on, Scott?
Well, I hear you guys screwing with it. I'm like, they're going to turn the motor on. And at this point, it's starting to get a little bit darker, a little bit dark. The sun's kind of, behind the hill.
Uh-huh.
And I just think, if they start this motor, I thought it'd be faster than that. And I go, I better start paddling because I don't want to show up 2 hours after they do.
Okay.
Well, there was no danger of that.
No, we couldn't quite get the motor running great that first time. Then we pulled over and we found some wood, just a dead cedar, just happened to be kind of below high water. We grabbed and we floated down. We were going to camp at the camp, the one with bathrooms and all that shit.
Yep.
We turned the corner and there's like 40, 50 boats parked just lined
Stacked up.
It
Stacked.
was ridiculous.
And there was tents everywhere, and it was like Coachella or some kind of music
Coachella.
festival.
I'll tell you what, I've never seen Jared throw a little bitch fit like he did right then.
Yeah,
and
talk
there.
about a happy camper.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He's like,
I didn't float this
Jesus
fucking
Christ,
river.
I ain't float this
Just
river
sit
to
around
go
a campfire
camping
and
with.
hold hands and sing songs.
I'm not trying to hold hands with people. Wanted to go and fish and be alone.
What a joy.
Oh God.
He's like chewing my ass. I'm like, well, let's just take it easy. We can find a
I was
spot.
like, dude, we don't have to fucking pull over here. Let's just go down the river a little more. But hey, by the way, if you had gone a little faster, we could have found a better spot sooner where it was light out, you dick.
I would like to say to all these comments about Andre saying I didn't float fast enough, we would have floated plenty fast if you wouldn't have fucked up that first northern pike, because I would have been good.
I've been like, all
I
right.
would have caught it.
Put
Yeah,
your
let's
fishing
keep
rod
going.
down.
If you guys truly
good.
believe that,
I probably would have
Then-
rode the whole time.
if you don't believe that, then you don't understand Jared Mason's addiction to fishing and hunting.
Well-
So let's be real here. You're full of shit.
that second day too, I was fishing, and Garrett's like, "Do you have steel leader on?" I'm like, "No." And fishing, and it was a while later. I hooked something, and it was like a split second. I hooked it, it went up, cut my line, lost my lure. It wasn't like a snag that I broke off. It was like as soon as there was tension on the line, it cut it.
weird.
So I hooked a big fucking northern. Is what I think
Yeah,
I did.
and you screw the pooch.
Screwed the pooch. So I reel it in. I lost that lure. I tie still leader on. Tie some more lures on. Never got a fucking pike to hit it again.
Didn't you use an SOS pad to shine up one of your lures?
I did. I shined up a lure, make it a little shinier. But
Yeah.
so we pull into camp, and it ended up being just across the river from the main camp. And there was already a fire pit there, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And we had those catfish, and we had a goldeneye, and we had a walleye.
Hey, we all decided that we were gonna try this goldeneye because everybody's like, "Oh, they're trash fish, they're bottom feeder, whatever." I was like, you know what? Why don't we try it? I will say this: props to Jared for getting that thing tasting really, really good with the spices that we had brought along. Honestly, wasn't bad.
I didn't mind
else-
it. It wasn't.
I didn't
wasn't
mind
gross.
it at all.
I mean, I don't think it compared to the walleye, but it wasn't like
come
gross.
on! I mean, how are you gonna compare a goldeneye to a walleye? That's
Yeah,
top shelf compared to bottom shelf. Let's
Yeah.
be real here. But hey, if you needed to survive, you can eat goldeneye.
yeah.
Let's be real
Yeah,
here.
it wasn't like slimy though or bad meat. It
No,
just,
not at all.
You know, walleye. There's not a lot on goldeneye. I think what made walleye good too is there was like a chunk of walleye.
Yeah,
you
it
could
wasn't
eat.
just like crisp like the
Yeah,
goldeneye.
yeah, the goldeneye is pretty
Yep.
crispy. And we cooked those catfish, and we did it. I don't know, totally Huck Finn, Mountain Man style.
Yeah, we did.
We got a nice bed of coals going. I brought a cast iron, big cast iron skillet.
The
We melted
biggest
butter
cast
in
iron
there,
skillet I've ever seen. It
and
was
we cooked
amazing.
those catfish and walleye.
I mean, I was bitching about that skillet the whole trip.
Yes,
'cause
you
you
were
were-
until it fed your ass.
every time we'd have to
Then all
repack
of a-
the dry
yeah.
box, but it got us worth that night.
I'll
Just
tell you.
being
No,
able to
I'll
cook
tell you what.
everything.
You were bitching the whole time about that. And you didn't say a fucking word after we fed from that
Yeah.
thing. You were like, you know what? I better shut
It
up
was worth
about
it.
this.
Yep.
You could just
That's
tell.
pretty
He was like, all right, it was worth it.
And that night we cracked open. For my birthday, I think a year or two ago,
Oh my
Holly
God.
got me not huckleberry, blackberry moonshine. And I'm not a drinker, so it's sat in my shelf forever. Well, I'm like, this is a good trip. And we cracked that out. We finished that jar.
I
off.
couldn't believe how good that moonshine was.
Like
dude.
we even packed Coke because thinking we need like a mixer or something, but no.
we
we were just hitting
we
it
drank
straight.
that shit straight. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, everybody felt pretty good that night.
Andre felt the best.
I sure
Say-
did. I needed to feel the best after the bullshit I went through.
And I was like, all right, we're getting tuned up. We have
Yeah.
another bottle of whiskey. Like, let's get this going. And all of a sudden, Andre was like, ready for bed.
Yeah,
It's like-
yeah, no, but get this. I'm ready for bed, right? I've had the longest freaking hike ever. It was the worst. I had to hike probably like 2 times as much as everybody else, trying to keep my feet dry.
No, that was the next day.
That was that night, dude.
No, that was the next day.
Are you?
I'm
you're
positive.
right. You're right. You're
we
right.
hiked
That was
the
the next
canyon
day.
where it was raining bad.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. But I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. I had that moonshine. I felt freaking awesome. and I went to bed because I was just tired. It just tired me out. And this guy over here, Jared, man, oh god, they got set lines in the water. He's falling asleep, literally trying to fish, falling asleep. I'm like, well, I mean, if this dude's gonna keep trying to fall asleep while he's fishing, might as well go to bed.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Andre drank a little bit.
There was definitely a point where he was like happy. You could tell he was feeling
Yeah.
it, and then it was like
I'm
he
like, here we go.
disappeared.
Here we go.
There was a switch. They were all thinking party animal was coming out,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden I hit a wall, and I was like, yep, later.
That's pretty good.
It was good night though. Eating that fish was something cool about being on the river a couple days, catching your food,
Dude,
cooking
yeah.
it. Something just kind of cool about that.
Well, it's just, it goes back to when we were doing that stuff, like when our ancestors were doing that stuff, having to do that and feeding themselves. It just kind of goes to show that we can survive no matter what opposition we're against. As long as we put our minds to stuff, we can make this stuff happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes
Yeah.
back to your
And
primal instinct.
It also
man.
teaches you how to rely on the people that you're with.
Yes.
Like throughout the trip, I know Jared and I kind of run our mouths on each other,
yeah.
but
Oh, God.
we also know you can rely, right? You rely on
Yeah.
even setting up camp. We kind of all got in a rhythm where
We did.
you do this, you do this,
Everybody
and then
had a part.
it just got faster and faster.
Oh, yeah.
So
Well, shoot, and then when Scott and I, when you guys were setting up tents, we're getting the fire ready.
Yeah.
We're getting the food ready with the fire and stuff, and that's just teamwork.
Yeah.
But at least this way, when everybody's hungry and getting tired, now we got dinner ready.
Yeah.
And that was the best part, is being able to sit around a fire, an open fire, having some good conversation with good friends, eating food that you literally caught off the land. Like, how amazing is that?
yeah.
It's really cool.
I mean, how many people can actually do that? I'll tell you what, people up in New York don't do that very often,
No.
if
Well,
ever.
And that was the goal of this trip. I think I told Garrett that. I'm like, I don't want to float down, stop at all the tourist traps. I want to float down and have like a Huck Finn trip where we're like catching what we eat that night and not camping in the setup camping spots, kind of paving our own way. And
I'll tell you what,
really
Garrett picked the best spot that he could have ever picked for you. I feel that river. The fact that he picked that river, solid.
Oh, for the trip?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was good.
absolutely. He did a
worked
wonderful
out.
job, and
Worked out.
yeah, I wanted to let you know that, but
I appreciate it.
yeah, man.
But next day we woke up, all the boaters kind of beat us out. We were a little slower.
Oh yeah, I wonder why.
We got packed up
Sauced up.
and we went to the hole in the wall next, which is a giant hole in these cliffs way up high, probably 1,000 feet above the riverbed. And we hiked all the way up there, and I walked out on top. I didn't like it.
Well,
It's-
explain the top
Okay.
because I was
So-
there previously,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm never going up on that top.
No,
there.
no. You didn't like it, but guess what you did?
What did I do?
You talking about hole in the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy's like, I don't like it, but then he drags his dog out there with him. His dog is like bear crawling as
My
close to
dog
the
was
ground
smart.
as possible.
And he's done that. He's done that before too, where my dog is coming up on an edge that's a real big drop because he's been up in the mountains with me, and when he sees it's that high, he gets lower to the ground.
Oh, he got low.
So I know it looked like I was dragging him out there, but what I was doing is holding on to him in case he slipped.
No,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
know that.
Okay,
We
okay.
know that.
But
We're not saying
The
that
top,
you
Yeah.
didn't.
the top of hole in the wall is what, like 1,000 feet down to the river bottom, and how wide is it?
Maybe 30 inches, 3 feet wide. It's only this.
Yeah, and then like sheer
No,
cliff,
dude.
sheer
sheer
cliff.
cliff.
That was like a 2-foot wide little walk. It was
All
not
right,
big
all
at
right,
all.
all right.
It
yeah.
was not big
I
at
mean,
all.
it's narrow.
It was definitely very narrow. And you having said, "Oh, I don't like heights," I was rather impressed that you went out there.
I was the
pulled-
first one
and-
out
and-
there.
Right.
Yeah.
Pulled your dog out there. Now, mind you, Jared's like crouched down with his dog, holding his dog, getting out there. And I'm like, I'm over here like, what's the problem?
You're
What's
more
going
used
on?
to heights.
What's
yeah.
going on? And he goes, I hate heights. And I go,
I hate 'em.
oh, okay. That
And
explains a lot.
Garrett, he's taking pictures,
Yeah,
and
I
he's like,
went around,
stand
climbed
up
and-
straight, Jared, because I'd stand up, but I kept my knees kind of bent. And I'm like, this is as tall as I can fucking
You
get.
freaking hunched over a little too. You
Well,
didn't
that's because of
straighten your back.
scoliosis. Don't pick on me for that.
No, it was not the scoliosis. You were just hunched over because you were trying to stay low to the ground.
But-
Yeah.
You know, I went around, got the angle, got the picture of Jared standing up there with his dog,
And Andre went out,
and then Andre's like, "I'll go out."
and he was all cocky. I don't care. He walked out there.
Just walked
no,
out
I
there.
straight up walked out there like
And
a
then
champ. I was, it didn't matter.
He holds his arms out like, I'm a boss. And that wind gust hit him, and he
Oh
kind of
my
rocked.
god! And I was like, holy
And I saw
shit.
in his eyes, his butthole went. I saw it in his eyes.
Hey, you know what? Rightfully so. That was a hell of a wind gust. I was like, oh shit, that was brutal. And I looked over at him and I go, hey, see, I'm still out here.
So, Scott, again,
Yes.
nowhere to be found. We're walking out
No,
on
because
top.
I went.
I know
you
you
went
went
on top.
down,
I
but
went
you
and
had
called-
no interest in walking out on top. You were like, nope, I ain't fucking doing it.
He
Not a
didn't do it.
conversation.
No, he was real quiet. He knows when to
Well,
stay
nobody
quiet.
said anything.
No, it's bullshit. We didn't need to say nothing. You're one of them guys who's like, oh yeah, if I don't
Yeah.
say anything and I get down here, I'll be fine.
Yeah, you're like, fuck this. So,
Hey, it got me through a lot of classes in high school. Keep my mouth shut.
There it is.
So we ended up heading to underneath Hole in the Wall, and we all took pictures underneath there.
Mm.
And then Garrett, who was taking pictures of us, I switched you out.
Right.
And you went and got pictures in the hole, and you're like, I ain't going up there. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to go up there, man. When are we coming back? You got to go up there.
We all got you to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Garrett starts walking out there, and all of a sudden, he gets on all fours and he's crawling.
I took
Literally
the
on
forge
all
perspective
fours.
as low as I could get.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely took the forge
And it
perspective.
still scared the shit out of me. I'm glad that I did it, though. Would I
And-
do it again? No.
Nope. That's a
Really?
type
Type
3
3
fun.
Yep. It's
Pussies.
fun, cool.
Pussies.
I agree. Type 3 fun. So
No, you're high. Oh my god. I do that. That's type 1 fun for me.
Garrett gets out there
Wait,
on all
did you
fours.
guys explain to your viewers what type 1 fun, type 2 fun, and type
We've
3
talked
fun
about
is?
it before. So type 1 fun is just like watching a game with your buddies. It's, going out to the bar. It's playing golf. It's something that's like fun in the moment, but it's,
And it's fun.
scratches that itch.
Yeah.
Type 2 fun is the type of fun that is not really fun in the moment, but when you look back on it, it's fun and it makes you want to do it again. So like our goat hunt or even this river trip, I would consider a type 2 fun. Like there was getting soaked and shivering and shit. That wasn't fun in the moment.
No, not in the moment.
Having blisters on your feet wasn't fun in the moment.
They're still there. They're still there.
But when we're recalling this story, look how much fun we're having.
Yeah.
And then this will fuel us probably to maybe do
something.
another one, right?
Oh yeah.
But then there's type 3 fun, which is it wasn't fun when it happened. It's fun talking about it, but I'm never fucking doing it again.
Yeah. Hard no.
Yeah, and climbing up there is something. No,
Yeah.
I got no need to hike all the way the fuck up there and stand on that little. No,
And this is where the Masons and Andre differ.
But Garrett, he gets out there on all fours, and I'm like, you got to stand up, and he stands up, and you can hear cheering. Well, where this is at, everybody on the river can see somebody up there. So they see somebody crawling out there
Yeah.
trying to make it. And then when he stood up, the whole river cheered for Garrett.
That was the funniest thing ever because all we heard from a distance was, "Woo, you can do it!"
I
So
never get-
funny.
So
I'm over
That
here
was
like,
pretty good.
what a bitch.
that's pretty fun.
You know, sometimes you just got to give your friends shit. That's how you know
Yeah.
they're your real friends.
Yeah.
Well, and then a trip like this bonds you closer because you're going on these adventures.
Yeah.
You're pushing the envelope a little bit. You're going through some
Well-
shitty things, and that really
That's what makes
strains
the adventure
character.
fun. If it goes to plan,
Mm-hmm.
it's like type 1 fun.
Yeah.
You the type 2 fun is really when it's like
Off
we
the
didn't
rails.
expect to get dumped on in the
Right.
slot
Yeah,
can.
when it gets off the rails a little
yeah,
bit.
but
Yeah.
not
I
too
lo-
much where you're in danger or
Yeah.
because shit can go sideways.
Yeah.
So you always got to play that line where
Well, speaking of stuff going sideways, we had to stop. My guts hit, and I'm like, oh god, I gotta go. So we stopped. What originally thought was where we were gonna hike up this valley to see some cool structures that we thought were up there. Turns out it wasn't. But I go up there, I go to the bathroom, and as I'm coming back, about step on a rattlesnake. And the
Did-
footage will be up of it.
did you hear it go?
I heard it go.
Okay.
And I saw its head, and it was turning, and I went to film it in the bush, and I noticed his head was tucking under. I looked, and there was a hole. He kind of came out, and he was slithering in. So then I got my phone a few inches away from him, but he was going in the ground, so I wasn't afraid about getting struck. And
Right.
I gotta
'cause his
kinda-
head was down in the ground. and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I
Well,
got a cool video of him going.
How many
down.
times are we out in the woods and run into rattlesnakes and we just kill them, right? Because we bird
Yeah.
hunt a lot.
Yeah.
We don't want them messing with our dogs. Where we hunt, we kill them.
Right.
Well, on this trip, you're 3 days in, so there's that risk factor of I'm not going to mess with it because if
Mhm.
something does go wrong,
There is
hours
no-
from
yeah.
help.
Yeah, there is no help.
So
Yeah.
And you could potentially die. You get bit by that. Exactly.
So come out of there, and what? Not too much farther. Garrett's got this trail he wants to go on. It's not
lack thereof.
lack there,
trail.
and that's what it says. It's like this valley's really cool. There's no official trail. There's no nothing. You kind of have to make your own way. Right up our alley.
Yeah.
right? So we decided to go on that hike, and we hike up in there, and there's water coming out, and it's thin. I mean, it's only, quarter of an inch thick type thing, not too deep, and we walk in the bottom. Andre,
I chose not to wear my boat shoes. I was like, oh, we're gonna
because you
go
got
on a hike.
blisters bad.
Well, yeah, I got exactly.
From
I
our
got some
last
bad
hike.
blisters, which that sucked. But I was like, okay, well, if I wear some socks with my normal shoes, I'll be good. I can do this hike, no problem. Oh man, was I in for a surprise?
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't expect this at all.
No.
So we just walking up in this area. It's a valley, and there's cliffs on both sides. So you feel, I would say, almost small when you're walking up it.
Yeah.
Oh,
'Cause
so
they're
small.
just massive, and even the scale, you don't really realize it till you look at pictures after the fact.
I mean, you're craning your neck to just see the top.
Yeah,
And you're like,
Well, and
Holy
it was
crap.
weird. It was like its own ecosystem. And
yeah.
yeah, because
Like
up on
it-
top was like dry rangeland.
dry prairie, sagebrush, but you get in this steep sides, and this bottom had water in it, and there was like fauna in there.
Mhm.
Dude, and it
You
was
know?
also like really humid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super humid in there. You're like, holy crap.
We're walking up there, and Andre's like, "Why? This is snake territory. Why are we walking in snake territory?" And
Mhm.
I think Scott's like,
I didn't say why are we walking. I said to Scott, I go, this is prime snake
Yeah.
territory. That was it. That
Scott's
was all
like-
I said.
"Oh, rattlesnakes like it drier. They don't like this wet
So-
Yeah,
stuff."
he thought.
What was Scott's genius idea when we got up in here?
Well, I think it was between you and Scott, right?
Yeah. Had to
No,
have been.
I didn't say
I wasn't part
No,
of it.
no. The beauty of the plan was I didn't say a single word, but I got exactly what I wanted.
Is that right?
Well,
It was not my idea to go to the top of the spring.
must have been Scott's then.
Someone had to say that.
No, I think Garrett goes, you look on the map, it says we were talking about where this water comes from.
Yeah, you
And
look at
Garrett
the
goes,
map.
you look on the map, there's a spring.
I didn't say we had to go up there.
Yeah, no kidding. These guys are like, we
These guys?
we gotta find the beginning of it.
I think it was you and Scott. You're
What do
both fascinated with
you
water.
mean these guys? Yeah, you and Scott.
Okay, first off, I was not in the pack for the majority of it because I walked up to see those great horned owls.
You're right, you did.
So I wasn't leading the pack. I had no idea we were going. When I came back to you guys, I go, "What the fuck are we doing?" And you're like, "We're going to the spring." And I'm like, "Well,
Hold
okay."
on. You can't say you guys because you and I were the ones that were
Yeah.
separated from those two.
So it was
I wasn't
Garrett and
even there.
Scott. We
Now,
got to the bottom of
Why
it.
was I separated though, huh? Because I'm over here trying to keep my damn feet dry
So
while you guys are walking in the frickin' slums.
Well, and I didn't the whole time.
Right, I
Because
know
I went up to
that.
see the owls. But poor Andre, instead of walking in this flat, snaky bottom like these two were, Scott and Garrett,
I
we
couldn't.
have Andre walking up. And then if it'd been that way, he'd walk up and around and up and around. And he probably walked double or triple what we did.
It was
heading up
so
there.
much, dude. I was rather impressed, and I was wearing that raincoat and my rain pants,
was.
and that raincoat doesn't let any air in. And,
Seals
and
the
it
flavor.
seals, dude. And I was sweating, like pouring sweat. I put my arm down like this, and there was a trickle of water
Oh,
coming out of
gross.
my sleeve from me
I
sweating
remember
so
picking
much.
on you for it too. I'm like,
You
how
were.
are those pants doing for you?
Yeah. Hey, the pants were great. The pants were great, dude. That
The
freaking
jacket?
raincoat though, that killed me. At one point, I took it off. Thank God. But I mean, I turned it inside out and I shook it, and there was just freaking water droplets going everywhere, man. I was like, oh my God, I'm sweating like a stuffed pig.
And we did find the spring.
Well, we walk up that valley or canyon, and then the rock shelves, cliffs end, and then it's just kind of we're walking in like a
Rolling
coulee.
hills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like, where's the spring? And we just keep
What?
walking up.
And Garrett's going, the rocks are in it. What the hell are we doing? Keep going up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's record that I'm like, the rocks
it's
ended.
Scott. We're
Let's
blaming
go
Scott.
back.
Yeah, let's go back. Exactly. Like, what the hell?
Yeah. So we did find it, and it was lackluster. It was just like stink mud.
Yeah.
That's all it was. It wasn't
what-
like a little hole in the cliff where water was coming out crystal clear. It was just like
Yeah.
black stink mud.
Exactly. Well, we start
And
making our way
Andre's
back.
just look on Andre's
Go ahead.
look on
Scott.
Andre's face was just like The look on Andre's face was just like, why the hell did we do this? What is wrong
I'm
with
like,
you people?
exactly. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? I'm turning around. And you know what? You know what's funny? That moment where I said that out loud. I'm like, I'm turning around. I'm going back. Not 2 seconds later, like, oh, well, that was a letdown. And then they turn around and start heading back.
Yeah.
We made it to the top. Been to the motherfucking mountain top.
Yep.
I will say it was 10 times easier going down than up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean, it was cool going up because even there's a part where I think a landslide happened, covered part of the creek that came from the spring, and then even a tight canyon there that was like just mud, and that was kind of cool walking through that. But would I do it again? No.
Type 3.
No,
three.
that was honestly, that hike, type 3 all the way.
I
Type
might
3
hike
fun
up
all the way.
a little bit.
Not clearly.
Not to where we went.
Right.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit would have been fine, but
There was
how
game
far
birds
we
in
went,
there, so
Yeah.
I could see myself going up there. a
Yeah,
little
the
ways.
shotgun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the shotgun.
I'll tell you what, the crazy part though was when we were going back, I don't know what it was, but Jared ended up playing with mud at some point. He just started playing with mud.
Oh, I
Yeah.
stepped in the creek and my foot sank to my knee and I lost my shoe.
That was funny.
So, no, that's before. That was on the way
That
up
was on
when
the
I
way up,
sunk.
when you
and
sunk.
like,
But going
and I
back,
couldn't.
Yeah,
I
you're
couldn't
like,
pull my.
Garrett, come get me, and I'd like pull you out, and then you'd like step again and get stuck.
Well, you pulled me out once. I was in the middle,
Felt like a geriatric.
so I
was
had.
dealing
Yeah,
with.
you were just not compassionate.
geriatric.
But yeah, you pulled me out. But I'm talking coming down when you thought I was playing in the mud. I had to dig my shoe out. Well, so I was pulling this mud out on top of my shoe and I was throwing it in the creek. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm damming it up. So I got my shoe dug out and I kind of had a dam. And then I'm like, I like messing with water. So I made a little dam.
He
And
was
it-
fucking playing.
It
with
filled
mud.
up this corner. Well, then I could wash my legs off. I got all the mud off and shit.
Meanwhile, Andre and I were sitting in the fucking sun, like trying to wait for everyone. Right? You want
We
to
are
make sure.
frying, Garrett.
Yeah.
You and me are frying.
And I'm
I
like,
was very
Scott, what's
tempted.
Jared doing? Oh, he's playing with mud. Fucking let's go.
Let's go already. Damn, dude. So I just said, screw this, and I kept going. And eventually, because those guys could walk through the bottom, and I had to do up and down the hills to keep my feet dry and not mess up my feet anymore with my blisters, they got ahead of me. But I was moving. I was trying to move.
And
They
we
get
sit,
ahead of me.
we sit down on a rock.
Yeah, they get ahead of me and sit down on the rock.
Scott's behind us.
Scott was behind me.
Yeah.
Scott was behind Andre.
Yeah.
and
Scott was
Garrett
getting
and I are
tired.
sitting there.
Scott was getting a little tired. I could tell. And
Well, he saw the spring. That's what he's there for.
yeah.
Right, Scott?
It was not a fountain of youth. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. So I get caught up with Garrett and Jared, and I'm going my own route because I'm not trying to get my shoes completely soaked with socks, and these are the shoes that I'm trying to keep dry all trip, so that way when I'm done with being on the water, I can have dry feet and then go to bed in the tent with dry feet. So I keep walking. And I took one step further, and then all of a sudden, I just hear this rattling go off, and I mean, it was loud. And I had looked right at Jared, and Jared's head snapped over to me, and my eyes are like, "Oh God,
Yeah.
there's a rattlesnake here." And sure as shit, Jared and I found the rattlesnake. We got video of that. I still have my video. You can
Good.
see it.
Yeah.
But we need to talk about the most important part with Scott.
Yeah, we're looking at this rattlesnake filming it. Scott shows up. Doesn't say a word.
Sees there's a rattlesnake.
Or hears it. One of the two. Fucking gets the fuck
Dips.
out of there.
Yeah, he laughed. He just didn't say nothing. He laughed. He laughed.
And
I
that's
just looked it through.
Yeah.
He's the escape artist, dude.
that
Scott's the escape
moment
artist.
is when I noticed Scott is the smartest out of all of us.
Yeah.
With the rain in the slot canyon, he got the fuck out of there. With the rattlesnake,
got the
and then
fuck
there
out
was
of
one other thing.
the cliff.
Well,
the clip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then me yelling behind Scott, going, "See, Scott, told you it was snake territory, you
Yeah.
dickhead."
Told you so.
Yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
called that shit.
That's
Nobody wants to believe me, but I called it.
That's just not. You spoke it into fruition.
No,
Yeah.
no.
You just
Put the
said,
vibes out.
yeah.
No way.
Goddamn,
way.
walking up and down trying to find a rattlesnake. Just walking the bottom.
I just know better, damn it. I just know better, okay?
But I mean, that's a terrible sound to hear.
No, that
Yes.
was scary. I
Yeah.
stopped right where I was, and I kid you not, if that snake hadn't actually given me the warning,
You would walk right on it.
I would have got bit, and I probably could have died there.
We
Absolutely.
would have left you for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm a heavy guy. I know you're not lifting me.
But we got out of there,
Yeah.
walked out. It was kind of mucky walking out. But I remember getting to the river and just like, I'm swimming. Took my phone off, threw my knife down. That was nice to be in the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scott did too, very weirdly.
Yeah.
It was like, Scott, when are you going to swim? I'm not. And then you'd look back and you'd be 2 inches deeper.
Yeah.
Scott, just lay in the river. No, I don't want to do that.
2 inches deeper.
2 inches deeper.
You're waiting for his nipples to finally get underwater.
Did you ever swim, Scott?
I didn't put my head under, but I got my shoulders. I got everything wet but my head.
Yeah. That was nice. And then
The weird thing is you're walking the river and it's like, waist deep. And then all of a sudden there's a boulder and it's like 10 inches deep.
yeah.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be like
There's
all
just-
smooth bottom, but it's not.
I love watching
That's-
Jared get out on the river there, and then all of a sudden, he's low, and then he starts walking up out of the river, starting to look like Jesus walking on water. It was the wildest thing.
But we ate a watermelon.
Yeah.
Oh
was
God,
nice.
yeah.
That was refreshing and floated and fished. And the fishing,
Scott ate half that watermelon. I will point out.
you had to have, Scott.
He did.
How
There's
the
no-
fuck
I
did you
did.
eat half a watermelon?
Oh, no, the best part is, so when we're loading to get in the canoe, Jared goes, "What the hell is that?" And I have a watermelon. He goes, "You're bringing a watermelon? Oh, my God."
The watermelon and the tomatoes.
God,
Yeah.
God, Garrett,
Oh,
or
I go-
not Garrett. Jared threw the biggest stink about freaking watermelon
I
and tomatoes.
gave Scott instructions. He's like, "What food do we need?" And I said, "This is what we're thinking, but think pack light, pack backpacking. We don't have a ton of room." He buys shit. He brings it. He's got like a bag of Caesar salad. He's got fresh fucking tomatoes, and he's got a watermelon. And I'm like, Scott, what did you not understand about pack light food?
There's no problem with tomatoes.
but
Jared just hates
when you're hauling
tomatoes.
when you're hauling water, it doesn't matter if you bring tomatoes because that's just less water you have to bring.
Exactly.
The box that you have to put the tomatoes in take up more space than it would if you just took that amount of water.
Oh God.
I enjoyed the tomatoes.
Potato. This guy just doesn't like
You guys
tomatoes.
ate all the fucking tomatoes before we started, anyways.
And it was good.
Exactly.
Alright.
So what
But-
were you bitching
We
about?
just need a note that you threw a fit about the tomatoes.
Yeah,
We were
little
packed
girly
on
fit.
room, and you know it.
Little girly fit over here. He's
Any
like,
more shit in that canoe?
is there tomatoes in there? Oh my God. And I'm over here like,
Any-
shut the hell up,
Any
Jared.
more shit
you
in that
whiny ass
canoe?
bitch.
Any more shit in that canoe, and that fucker wouldn't have floated.
You're so full of shit. We could have piled your fucking ass in there. Would have been fine.
Jesus criminy.
Some bitch was floating just fine. You kidding me? It held Scott and then some.
But that second day, the fishing wasn't as good as the first day.
No, first day was the best with us.
Yeah. And we floated, and we were having a good time, and then all of a sudden it was like, we got quite a few miles to go, and it's dark.
Yeah.
So we started up that motor.
I wonder why it was dark every day that we arrived at camp.
Poor guy.
How do you do it, Andre?
How do you do it, Jared? That's
In
the
the
real
dark.
question.
That's how I do it.
Yeah, I clearly.
But we started up that motor, and I mixed with the fuel mix going in the carb, and I got it to where it's running all right. It would like run steady for a while. And we turned that fucker up, and we started going. Garrett was kind of helping me steer with the oars because that motor was so touchy. And then if I went too far this way, it would just really, because you think you're driving a pontoon boat. So every time each tube's trying to catch. So if you went to turn, it would want to turn you.
Yep.
But we start gaining on Scott. And I remember Scott, he's laying there, he's paddling. And I'm like, we're gaining. We start getting close to Scott, and I see him. He gets up and starts kneeling, and I go, that son of a bitch, he's trying to race us. And sure enough, he's in his canoe. And you stayed ahead of us quite a while, Scott.
He did. Then we lost him.
Yeah,
at
you
one
guys
point.
are only about like a tenth of a mile faster.
Yeah, it took forever, but
It
we
did.
got you at the last minute there.
With a lot less effort.
Yeah. But we didn't Fish and Game pulled us over earlier, and they're like, "There's 30-some boats at the campsite," and we're like, "We're not camping there."
Oh man, enter the bitch fit from Jared.
I'm so glad I invited you on, Andre.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you did too. Somebody's got to freaking call
I
you
ain't
out.
fucking camping with 30 fucking boats.
That's exactly what he said too. Damn it.
Which is like the previous conversation we had the night before.
Mm-hmm.
But this shit was hilarious because he was just pissed. Like he was not having it. I'm like, Jesus, Jared, come on, cool down, fella. We don't have to camp there.
Yeah.
He's like sitting there thinking we're gonna force him into something that he don't want to do.
The problem is you can't camp everywhere on the river. You got to find a spot that's public to camp. So
Well, we found one.
we did. The issue is when you skip campsites, you can't go back to them.
Right.
And that's where the kind of the stress comes in a bit. But we found a good fishing hole. Now when we're looking for a campsite, we're not looking for just a campsite. We're like, where can we fish at night?
Right.
And is it possible to camp next to that? And I think that last night was our best
Fishing hole.
camp even. I like the camp setup. We had a fire ring.
Yeah.
We had a good fishing hole.
Hey, I made that firing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did.
I
And
did.
It was,
I had to find all them damn rocks, but you know what?
how'd you do it on the river?
Oh,
Fuck,
man,
there
it
was
was-
no right.
It was
They
so
fucker.
hard. This guy's slave driving me, yelling at me, and I'm like, God, I feel like my stepdad is freaking putting me through
Who's
drill
your daddy?
sergeant school or whatever. He's over here with a whip and
Yeah.
chains. Oh,
Yeah,
so ridiculous.
We got set up, nice camp,
nice.
and
camp.
then kind of fell into our roles again. I think you and Scott cooked again, and Jared and I were
Hot
setting
dogs?
out.
Yep, we did do hot dogs that
Buns,
night.
yeah.
Well, and that was and mashed potatoes.
Yep, and then Garrett caught a catfish.
Yeah, first was a catfish.
I cut up a catfish because it was hooked too bad, so
Yeah.
we cooked it, and that was good again.
Oh yeah.
And then we had our lines out, and we were catching catfish pretty. I mean, it was fishing good.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Garrett, every fish I hooked was, because in my head I'm like, there's paddlefish in here, there's sturgeon in here,
Yeah.
and I'm fishing on the bottom for him. And I'm like, I knew I would like to catch one. So every time I hook something of any size, I'm in my head I'm thinking, oh, it's a fucking sturgeon, or oh, it's a paddlefish.
It's a big one, Garrett.
Oh, it's a good. Well, and then also all day I'm fishing with that trout rod, and then I'm fishing with these thick catfishing rods.
Yeah.
So the weight felt different. So I go to pull up, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is a fish, and Garrett,
You hear from the distance. There's a good one, Garrett.
good one.
And
Garrett come running with the net and walk out there knee deep in stink mud, and it was a nice catfish,
Yeah.
but it wasn't
No
worth.
monster.
Funniest
getting
part
your
was Garrett
pants
came
muddy.
about 5 times, and then after that, he was just like, he sat next to the fire, goes, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, he learned.
Caught on.
He caught on
He
finally.
But that was cool. And
Started to get dark, and then it was hard. We have bells on our rods, but it's hard to tell which one's going off.
yep, hard to tell what bells ringing, and then how hard to hit your getting. You
Right.
don't want to get up if they're just nibbling it,
All right.
So Scott had a bunch of glow sticks.
Chem lights.
Chem lights.
There was an argument between Garrett and Scott if they were glow sticks or chem lights.
Scott had the chem lights, so Scott won the argument.
If you don't know, a chem light
But I
is a
would-
glow stick for adults.
Yes.
It's what the Army hands out when you do like land navigation and whatnot.
Yeah, they were nice. So we cracked those and put one on each of our rods.
That was super cool.
And then you could sit at camp and look over, and if you were getting bells, you could see one bouncing, and then you could see how hard it
And
was
which one was
bouncing.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah, and we fished good till about 1 a.m. Andre,
I was out.
you turned in.
Yeah.
I don't even think we drank.
No, yeah, we did.
What did we drink?
We
did.
definitely. I was drinking beer with Scott.
Oh,
Beer.
you guys. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
that's
was
true.
drinking. You guys didn't drink,
No,
but Scott and I were drinking beer.
that makes sense.
Oh,
And
yeah.
Andre went to bed. Poor guy had a long day. Almost got attacked by a snake.
Yeah, that damn rattlesnake, man, could have killed us.
And
Could've
that
killed me.
was good. We
It was a good last night.
it
of
was.
camp.
And the whole time you and I
That
think
was that night you were
Scott
falling
finally went to
asleep.
bed too. Scott stayed up for a while, maybe
Okay.
midnight. maybe 12:30.
Only because when we put the chem lights out, it was really fun to watch. Because you could just see this chem light just going to town.
Yeah.
Well, that was the night that you were falling asleep at the rod.
Yeah.
Garrett was sitting there like the rod. Just,
No.
and wake
We
up
did.
and
We-
you go pull a
we were
fish
sitting
out and
by
then
a
throw it back
fire.
out and fall back asleep.
Sitting by this fire, it's just coals, and Garrett and I would talk and fall asleep, and then you hear a jingle and you'd wake up and whose chem light was bouncing, and about 1:00 it shut off.
No.
They kind of quit hitting. So
Yeah.
we got up and we're like, well, we'll just set some lines for tonight. We baited and threw them out, went to bed.
Man.
In the morning, I ended up getting up early that morning, or I just was up. So I got up, picked a few things up, and both of our lines were slack. So I went over to mine first, and it was something big. Like I'm pulling on it, and I can tell I'm not snagged because it's like a mud bottom, right? I can't get it up, but it's fighting me, and I'm like, holy shit. So I put all my stuff out of my pockets, and I'm like, I have to wade in there
River monster.
Yeah.
to get whatever's got me stuck. And what I thought was happening is there might be a driftwood sunk in that mud, and my line, I got like 50-pound test. My line must be around some kind of debris, and there's a big fish on the end because I can't pull it up, but I can feel the fish. So anyways, I wade out there and I'm just pulling, and about belly button deep I'm out here. Well, it's kind of sketchy because that mud is like sink mud. So every step, you'd step and I'd sink another 6 inches till I hit a rock bottom. Right? And I thought, what if I step and this is like a 2-foot deep hole, and now I'm like chin deep in the fucking river.
With your rod.
Nobody's awake. Right? But it pops free. Oh, and the fish is fighting. So I wade back and I reel in, and I got a nice catfish on one hook, and I got a softshell turtle on another.
That was wild.
It was, and I think what was going on, and after
Well, because remember,
looking
you
at it.
pulled it in. We were up at the time when you went and pulled it in.
no,
You showed us.
no,
I'm just going.
you were sleeping. This is a different one. This is before you woke up. So
Are you
I
sure?
went down there, and it took me a while. I finally unhooked the softshell turtle, but what I think they do is they get hooked and then they bury themselves in the mud. And so I'm feeling this catfish fighting on one of my hooks, and my other hook's buried in the mud. And so me pulling, you got to work that turtle out of the mud when it sat there.
You know that turtle was just like
Yeah.
getting shook all night by a fucking catfish.
Yeah.
All night.
Well, who
dude.
knows? Maybe he sat there all night, and right before I picked the rod, the catfish got the other hook.
Yeah, that's true.
Glass half full. But I pull him in. I end up having to cut my hook. So I cut my hook, get the turtle off, set him on the bank. He goes away, throw my catfish back. You guys still aren't up yet, so I fish. I'm fishing, walking up and down the bank fishing until you guys are up. I get a snag bad. My line had a bad tangle in it earlier in the trip, so I had cut it out. Well, I didn't have much line on my reel. I got a snag, and I'm like, if I break this off, I can't use this anymore. That's all my line. So I just left it snagged and on the bank. I went back. You guys woke up.
That's when I was up and I saw you fishing down way down at the end.
Yep.
Right before you had that snag.
Okay.
I saw you because I was up and running and getting stuff, figured out, like what were we gonna do and trying to get.
We're gonna be out. We're
and
gonna
we were
be
trying to get
out in
breakfast.
about an hour.
Yeah.
We were trying to get breakfast ready. Remember?
Oh yeah, we're gonna cook
Yeah,
eggs
we
and
got.
stuff.
That's so I got that going.
So I come back and I cooked breakfast. I think
You did.
we got
Yep,
you got the
cooked-
fire going, all that stuff,
Yeah.
and I cooked breakfast.
Yep.
Well, meanwhile, I had baited my rods up again. I told you yours was slack. Yada yada. You checked, your bait was gone. Did you bait up and cast out again while you're getting ready?
I think I did.
And so while we're sitting there, we eat breakfast. We're packing up. We do all that. Breakfast was good. It was in the cast iron. It was eggs and bacon, and we're just beautiful.
Which again, Jared was like, "Why are we bringing bacon? Why are we bringing eggs?"
I didn't want to bring eggs.
Dude, oh my god. What are we bringing this? And then we're putting it on the fire and he's like, "Man, it's pretty good."
Yeah. Well, obviously it was good. I just was more concerned about room. But
What's wrong with eggs and bacon? You know what?
we had to pack 4 days with 4 guys on that boat,
And we had plenty of room.
I mean,
I think it might be 3v1. Yeah, I maybe just let it go.
It's a 3v1.
Anyway, so we pack up camp, getting packed up. My rod goes again, and I go out there and I reel in, and it's stuck in the mud. And another softshell turtle I caught, and that's the one you remember.
That's the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So that was
come
so you
over.
had caught 2.
Yeah, I caught 2 that
Oh,
morning.
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might have been the same one. I don't know.
Poor bastard.
And so I had to flatten my barb, and I got it out and let him go. And we packed up, and I remember Andre, you were saying comments like, "Yeah, let's get going. We'll get the motor on. We'll get home in a good time." Blah blah blah. And Garrett looks at me.
No, I said, you know, I'd like to. It'd be really ideal if we got out of here by like, you know, or what? If we got home by like 2-3 o'clock. And Garrett looks at Jared. What do you say?
Are you going to tell Andre, or do you want me to tell Andre?
Like, the chance of us being home by 2 or 3, low. The
We're
chance
still
of
like
us
10 miles from.
the chance of us getting to our takeout by 2 or 3, probably realistic.
Right.
And that's kind of what we were shooting for.
Yeah. So I didn't know that was their plan. I was in the dark, and then I found out, and I'm like, these sons of bitches.
So we floated, and the fishing was not good the third day.
No.
Or the
And it
last
was
day.
the hottest day.
And no clouds, no nothing. Just
Nothing.
cooked us on the boats.
Oh, we were frying.
You jumped in. The
Yeah.
dog swam with you for a bit. You ended up switching boats.
I got abandoned. I was just floating. I look, and you guys are gone.
That was hilarious. You got in the water, cooled off, and we just pieced.
Yeah, sick of him, I
And then
guess.
you hop in the freaking canoe
Canoe.
with Scott over
Did
there.
that soak your ass when you jumped in there, Scott?
It did. It did bad because I got it all nice and dry and clean, all the sand out and everything.
Yeah. And did you about flip the canoe when he got in?
Garrett, we were about a 1/4 inch from taking on water.
Well, it was
That
like
was pretty.
waist deep water where I jumped in at, so I didn't have a real great jump. But we made it.
I made it.
Just barely, huh?
But I've been floating. I floated probably a good hour just floating off the boat or then hanging off the canoe.
Yeah, you did. Was it an hour?
It
Well, I
was-
guess
it
you
was a
had your
long
life.
time.
You had your life jacket on. That's
Right.
right. Yeah.
But and Scott's like, I finally climb in the canoe, and Scott's like, "You want to fish?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll fish." Well, then that sun starts to hit me, and it's been a long couple days. And
Oh,
I just kind of put the
Long
rod down.
3
like,
days?
You can fish, if you want, Scott. And I just I fell asleep, and I know why Scott fell asleep in that canoe the whole trip. It's comfortable.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Scott, the whole trip, you'd watch him and he'd be like sleeping and he'd kind of bump off a bank and wake up and paddle out a little bit. Then he'd fall back asleep and his canoe would just meander down.
I laughed so hard when he almost hit those freaking rocks.
Yeah, we were
Because he was
watching him.
asleep.
But just passed out in the canoe, and then I wake up and we're like hauling ass. Like, what the heck is going on? And Scott's just paddling like a son of a bitch. I'm like, Scott, what's going on? And what was going on, Scott?
Well, we were like 2 miles from the truck, and I was at a long sleeve shirt, so I was burning with my short sleeve shirt on. And you weren't fishing, so what was the point of? We weren't fishing, so what was the point of staying on the river?
Like, rather than floating the river, let's hurry up and sit at the boat dock for 2 hours, I guess.
Jared and I got left in the freaking dust.
Yeah.
But
Like,
you
where
know
the
what?
fuck they go?
Yeah, we're like, where'd they go? And we're like, fuck it. So we started bullshitting,
It was
just
good.
doing our thing and, reminiscing some of the old times of when we were younger and in high school and so on,
Mhm.
all them other stories. He's telling me stories about him in college and being the rebel and all that stuff. Go figure. Jared
Mhm.
Mason being a rebel. Who would have thought?
And I ended up catching my first sauger.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I rode you to that.
You
frickin'
did. I'm
fish
like,
hole.
I need to go to that bank. I need to go to that
I
bank.
busted my ass to get
You
over
did.
there, and you sure did. You
I
got in
hooked
there.
up and
You're
I
like,
go,
what is that?
what is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a walleye. I go, I don't think it's a walleye.
I'm like, that's not a walleye.
Yeah.
That head is way too wide to be a walleye, but it sure looked really close to it.
So
Then Garrett confirms it when we finally got down to the boat dock.
mhm.
He goes, "That's a sauger," and Jared's like, "Damn,
Mhm.
I knew it. It's either a walleye or a sauger." I'm like, "Dude, we both knew that wasn't a walleye."
Then I filleted him and ate him that night, and he was good.
You did, huh?
Oh yeah, it's real good.
Mm.
But I mean, by the time Scott and I got to the boat dock, faster than you guys, of course. But then started getting stuff packed up, and the whole pack up of stuff went fairly quick.
We did a good job.
We had to shuttle ourselves, so Andre and I went and got the vehicles, and you guys must packed up everything because even when
Scott sat by the canoe with all the stuff. I told him because all them freaking dirty hippies were up there, right? I didn't want them stealing any of our shit. Scott's like, "Hey, do you want me to help you unload the boat?" And I'm like, "No, just sit by the stuff." So I packed everything off the boat in a pile, and then while he was sitting there, I was just making trips.
okay.
And that's how we got it. And then you
But
guys
you
showed
say
up.
that,
Yeah,
but half of the stuff was in the canoe. We wouldn't have
You're
had
right.
room on that raft.
Yeah.
No.
agreed.
Half of the stuff was in the canoe, so I'm over there sorting stuff in the canoe. He's hauling stuff up from the boat.
Yeah,
It worked out really good because the time we got everything all packed up and dried out and ready to go, the trailer showed up.
and
Yeah.
Scott's like, "Pick a time, whatever, if it goes over." And I think I said 3:40, and they came in at 3:38.
Yeah,
or
we
something.
showed up 2 minutes early. Yeah, you know
Yeah.
why we showed up
Oh.
early? Freaking Garrett's hauling ass, dude.
Yeah,
I'm over here with a light aluminum trailer, freaking just trying to keep up with him, and I'm looking in the rearview mirror, and this thing is bouncing like this on the gravel
Yeah, especially
road.
with no boat on it.
And I'm like,
She
oh my
swims.
god, I need to slow down. This guy can go ahead. I don't care. He's freaking hauling ass at 85 an hour, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna chill at 75.
I don't know what you're talking about. I only drive 70. That's the speed limit.
Horse shit.
but it was good. We got off
Overall.
the river, unloaded everything,
It was a good trip.
loaded it in the trucks when you showed up. I mean, it just went smooth. Even putting
It
the
did.
boat on the trailer.
You're welcome. I know how to back up a trailer.
You
Yeah.
do.
We headed home, grabbed some ice for my sauger at the gas station,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think I slept that time. I was up.
No, you
I was
were
up the
up.
whole time.
You were actually up.
Yeah,
That surprised me, but at the same time, you were feeling better.
a lot better.
So-
and I was starting to feel like shit hawking up loogies.
And
that
I was
was
giving
gross.
you cough drops.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
God for them cough drops. I still have them in my pickup.
And then Andre,
Still using them.
we're like,
Thanks, Jared.
we got to get something to eat. We got to get something to eat. Well, Applebee's the only thing open at 9:00 at night on a Sunday when we
That
were
was
rolling to town.
hilarious. Jared being the big badass over here, right? He's the big badass.
Well, because when we left the river, you're like, yeah, that was good, and I'm like, I could be out here for a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not. Have
I'm
to
like,
leave.
are you kidding me right now? He goes, nah, man. I could totally do it. I'm like, God, you're nuts, dude. We get to Applebee's, right? Pull up to Applebee's, we park, and all of a sudden, we go ahead, and once we get to Applebee's, we get out. And oh my God, I thought I had an 80-year-old man in my truck with me because this guy was hobbling
Yeah.
to
when
the doors. And I-
Scott and I got out. We were like, what's wrong with Jared? He's like, like you couldn't even walk.
yeah, you couldn't
My
barely
foot-
put weight on your damn foot.
My foot hurt horribly.
Yeah.
Didn't notice it. On the river, it was hurting just a little bit. I thought it's because I sunburned the top of it. But when I got out of your truck from sitting there that long, I could barely walk on it. And then when we got home, even loading and unloading stuff, I was limping and my foot hurt. And Scott, maybe you can attest to this. I get home, I finally take it off, and from hiking, I got a blister on one of my toes, right? And then from fishing and all that stink mud, when I took my shoe off, my foot was so swollen, my toes don't touch the ground. Like the bottom and top of my foot
Oh my God.
looked like I was a 300-pound man. I had this huge
What? So they
bulbous
added
foot.
10 pounds?
Yeah,
Yeah, was it infected?
yeah, I
Oh,
was
dude.
infected, and I go, well, I should wash it off, and I have because Forge has had that infection.
Mm-hmm.
From
You had the
a tick
iodine
bite.
with you.
I had iodine, so I
Yeah.
washed my foot off and I put iodine on it that night. Well, getting out of the fucking tub after washing it, I could barely walk. I couldn't, like Holly was helping me. I couldn't put weight on it. It just was huge. Like
The
fuck,
funniest
it hurt.
Funniest part was we get through the doors of Applebee's and I look at him and I go, A whole month, huh?
Yeah.
You're full of fucking
Yeah,
shit.
it was
dude.
like one more day and he'd have been done.
and
I
he's
probably
just,
would have died out there.
yeah, he's just grinning his ass off
Yeah.
after I made that comment because he knows I was right.
I didn't sleep much, and I just kept an ice pack on it all night.
Yeah.
And I dined it again and stuff, but I never went in for it. It kind of went down and felt good, but yeah, holy shit, that first night was horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
Well, it just goes to show you, like back in the day, that was one of the greatest things that would kill people was infection.
Just a little infection.
Something a little about walking and then getting in some not so clean water.
Yep.
Yeah.
Something as small as that. Isn't that
Mhm.
wild? Now we've got stuff that'll take care of that, no problem. Like it's nothing.
Right.
But
You don't even think about it when you're in town.
yeah, now then you go outside, we go do some fishing trips or river trips or like that. People forget.
But that's the significance of this trip. It was out testing yourself, testing like you're on the river for 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no.
It was
calling it
us
quits
against
early.
the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. I wanted a Huck Finn type adventure where we just get on
And you were sick at the end of the trip. You got Andre sick, and now it sounds like Scott's getting over something, which is good because your wedding's coming up, but everyone's better, so you didn't get all your groomsmen sick right before
Yep.
your wedding.
that was good.
I think I'm gonna slam some NyQuil tonight just to make sure.
What did he just say?
Not Dayquil, NyQuil. Yeah.
Did I? Did you hear that?
No comment.
Yeah, okay, we'll have to rewind that. See what he said.
Slam some NyQuil. I
Some
almost said Dayquil.
It didn't sound like you're saying day.
What?
Sound like you're saying Richard.
Get your mind
Yeah.
out. Get your mind out of the gutter, you sick fuck.
I couldn't wait till I get home and slam some dick. Make you feel better.
You're dumb as hell. I'm gonna kill the rest of this shit off with some NyQuil because
Yeah.
you're stupid ass.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we all had a good time. We all learned a lot. I think got closer, bonded up a little bit going on these misadventures and no major hiccups. You still have your foot. Andre, you made it home by 9, not necessarily by 2.
No, I did not. No, I did not make it home by 9.
Yeah.
we
well,
we
it was-
got to Applebee's at 9.
That's home.
No.
Was it before midnight?
Yeah.
No,
Okay,
okay.
you're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
You're an adult.
You're right. I am good.
Yeah.
Good. And you know what? I
What?
still had to do laundry, like I told you guys, and
Yeah,
I was up
that's
until
fair.
1 a.m. getting my shit done. You know what, kids? Being an adult is not fun.
Being an adult means you should have done laundry before your trip.
And whoa. If they had just informed a guy that we were going to be out all weekend until like midnight.
4
On a
days is
Sunday?
4 days, dude. I didn't say 3.5 days.
Oh, Jesus. Not even going to argue with this guy.
So it was good.
It was.
I
It
enjoyed
was
it.
great.
Would you go again, Scott?
Oh, definitely.
Awesome.
But I did appreciate having my own vessel. That was nice.
Yeah. If I did it again, for that long, I'd bring another vessel just to throw the shit in. Even our raft would have worked. Just to pile shit
I'll
in.
tell you
I think
what. Go ahead, Scott.
I think it'd be fun to take 4 kayaks. I think that'd be I don't know. I think that'd be fun.
I just don't know if I can afford to do that. I'd have to buy the Chacos and the Subaru
And the Patagooch.
and the Patagooch.
And therapy's not cheap either.
Yeah.
What do you mean therapy? This guy's past all that. He can't. No.
Past all hope.
Therapy won't help Jared.
I'm kidding. If he spent more than 20 minutes in a Subaru, he'd be in some shrink's office for 2 months.
You're right.
That's fair.
You're right.
And they'd be asking him, what was wrong with that? How'd that make you feel?
What's wrong with that? I own one.
Yeah.
That's what I drive.
And you're fired.
Yeah, it was good. And that was my bachelor trip.
Yeah, and it's one of the opportunities where we did take some time off, and thankful that you took some time off,
Mhm.
Andre, and you, Scott, coordinated and got time off to do that longer trip. Because there's so much more you can do the more time you have.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
our mantra on this podcast is surviving the week to live on the weekends. But every once in a while, we can get a couple days off, and that really just increases the value of those trips.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go a little bit farther, a little
Yeah.
bit deeper.
Do a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Real hard.
It
Just
just
Saturday, Sunday.
it just goes to show that at the end of the day, we work to live. We don't live to work. And
Agreed.
Yeah.
and if we can't just stop and smell the roses, what's the point?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was definitely an amazing trip, and I would do it again, especially if I get to keep talking shit to everybody.
That'd be
Awesome.
fun. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah. Check us out on Instagram,
TikTok.
Facebook. Do we have Facebook?
We don't have a
Oh,
Facebook.
not yet.
Coming soon.
And to the guy that said I was sleeping on the net, I see you, bud. I swear to God, I see you.
TikTok,
Let's see you do it better.
YouTube. What else?
Instagram,
Yeah, website.
our website.
Yeah.
Check us out on Spotify or wherever you
Listen to podcasts. And-
Jinx.
Yeah. We've done this a time or two.
I can
Yeah,
tell.
it's happened a time or two.
Yeah.
And as always, we'll be surviving the week to live on the weekends.